Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission, until we are cancelled and replaced by something superior, to review every episode of movie of Star Trek in existence. To seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where very many other Star Trek based YouTube shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon. Good evening, good afternoon.
Buried alive.
Good evening.
Are
you done? Good evening.
He's just not going to have a drink then.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Treks and Trekkers all over this fair planet, and welcome to another episode of Trekking Up North. I am your host, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable Geesian from the planet Science Officer Synoiz.
That's not right.
And this week we are joined by a very special guest, for all the way from those United States of them's America, host of Captain's Quadrant on them YouTubes, Captain Joe Dove.
Greetings and salutations, friends. I am pleased and eager to jump in here with you to talk about being buried alive.
Buried alive.
I used to have the old school replicator. I only have the phaser, but that doesn't really help.
I actually have the Wrath of Khan communicator. I should have really put batteries in it because it does shout
yeah,
Khan.
I don't know what I do with them.
Buried alive. Buried alive.
It's one of these ones where it's one of those bits where you kind of go, is this going to lose, is it going to lose its luster after repeat viewings? And I'm like, nope, it's still, even, no matter how infamous it is, the Khan bit is still like one of the best bits of a movie ever.
Yeah,
I love it because like Family Guy did a skit in it and we're like, now back to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, edited for sheeps. And it's just like Khan going, buried alive. And Kirk just goes, nah. Yes, if you haven't guessed it already, everybody, we are here to review Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Arguably the greatest Star Trek movie ever created. But before we get into that, I would like to ask what I always ask on Trekking Up North. And I will start with our lovely guest, Captain Joe Dove. How are you?
I'm better. A nice dive into the, to me, second best Star Trek movie of all time.
Controversial.
6 is always going to be, I'm going to be controversial today.
Star Trek
6 is always going to be my favorite. Yes. 6 is just, and it's the same director. So
it's Nick Mayer. Yeah.
He's a great director. These two are my absolute favorites. But yeah, tough week, but it's a good way to round out the week when you're amongst friends talking about what you love the most, and that is Star Trek.
Excellent.
No.
Synoiz, how the devil are you, you handsome geese? Ian.
Switch it up.
Sorry, everyone. I've given PTSD to in the chat. We were like, should we start it with me screaming? And we were like, that won't have negative reactions.
How's your week been? Okay.
To be fair, I do actually feel like something is lifted there. That has been oddly very therapeutic, yelling Khan that many times. Because it has been a week.
Yes.
And by week I mean month. But yeah, no, my show Snatch Talk is out now. It came out at 6 p.m. today. and it's a lot of work to do it. So we'll mention to watch it later after the show and stuff. But it's so much work doing it, but it's wonderful getting the reactions from it and how many people sort of expect it, who are in the Newcastle Drag Idol competition, which is what it's for. But yeah, it's just, you're really busy, and then when you finally finish for the week, you're just like, it feels like a weekend now, properly, because you're just like, oh, I can talk Trek with you, which I love, and I can have a day off tomorrow, which is great. And it only lasts like 6 weeks, I think.
Wow.
Only 6 weeks.
Yes, but it was one of those things I was like, oh, it's only 6 weeks of a year, I can do it. And then they're like, isn't that like an eighth of the year? And I'm like, shut up.
don't bring
math around me.
Yeah, don't fractionize my work.
I'm glad though, like getting to watch Khan. The problem was I watched it like last week, and I was like, I haven't actually seen the original episode that Khan comes from.
Space
and I was
Seed.
Like, yeah, no, and I was kind of like, am I missing something here? Like, watching it, just being like, oh, could I get more out of this? So last night, I watched Space Seed for the first time, and then watched Khan again afterwards. And I was like, oh, it does. It adds to it. It makes you kind of appreciate him more, because otherwise I was like, he's just this guy who seems to be very angry about something that we haven't seen.
So Synoiz is over here. Who is this angry man? Why is he coming?
Who is this?
I feel.
Why is he being nasty to my Captain Kirk? I mean,
I feel with this movie, when they do a physical release, they should always include the episode Space Seed.
Yeah,
they should always. Yeah, they should always say, okay, if you are new, this is the origin story of Khan. And then at least people can go in with a greater appreciation of why he's motivated by vengeance on Kirk. And he's just like, oh, I actually get it. Because you really do get one side of the story in this film.
Well, I mean,
it's the fact of, in the episode, he is far more well-rounded than he is in the film. Because in the film, he's totally hampered by his quest for revenge.
He's Moby Dick.
Wrath of Khan. Like, he literally got his crew members being like, please be sensible. Stop being a vengeful nutter and stuff. And you're like going, hang on, he's meant to be superhuman, really?
But he's Ahab.
And then when you watch Space Seed, you're like, okay, cool. He's just very angry.
Sorry, Joe, you were going to say.
No, one of the things is a couple of throwaway lines in the movie is, oh, we left you, of course, the infamous, this is City Alpha 5.
Yeah.
Is very angrily saying, you guys ditched me, you bastards. And that's the quest of his revenge. And it's kind of like a throwaway line. Oh, we left you at City Alpha 5. It was full of life and trees and little chicken nuggets that were running around.
Space Brexit happened. Christ.
Yeah, space Brexit. But the planet shifted and this became a desert, you bastards. And, you got it. So I also, people should see young Ricardo Montalban and all that wonderful hair that he had.
Oh, yes.
In Space Seed, it's just like, whoa, this he had some locks back in the day.
And also,
I think he stays sexy though. I think there's something about him in Wrath of Khan where you're just like, oh, daddy,
it's the glistening
his chest.
Yeah,
it's all oiled up and ready.
It must have been a contractual obligation where they were like, okay, you did this random episode of this sci-fi show in the 60s and we want you. Oh, I remember that. I had my chest out. Right. My one contractual condition is I must be like completely exposed to the midriff like I was in Space Seed.
I definitely think it's a mood, being like, hey, I'm a superhuman with a crew full of Chippendales, basically. That's basically Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. The thunder from down under in space,
The SS off Broadway.
Way off.
Way off.
The Botany Bay.
Yeah, the bodily bay. Yeah, I like that one.
The botany gay. Anyway.
Fun fact for you guys. I live in a state called New Jersey. Where I'm the Star Trekkiest bastard in all of New Jersey. Anyway, we have a town called Botany Bay. And I really wanted to move there. And then at the same time, I was like, maybe I shouldn't move there.
The problem is you need to look at it on a map and do the whole Chekhov bit, because it's one of my favorite bits of this movie is the Chekhov remembering. Like he's like SS Botany Bay.
Yeah.
SS Botany Bay. And
damn.
Immediately this wonderful dawning moment of going, that was a couple of years ago, but
yeah.
we're in absolute danger.
That was a hot minute. We also had a poll for this week's episode in relation to The Wrath of Khan, which we will...
Is this Lee's poll? Lee's lovely poll that we managed to get up earlier?
The 14-inch poll, yes. It's also on Twitter.
Congrats, Lee.
Damn!
Other things that will wreck you harder than Khan, basically.
Other things that will... other things that will bury you alive. It took the Starfleet Corps of Engineers 6 months in suits to... It took Lee. What we did in Lee, we did in a matter of minutes.
What really killed Spock? 14 inches.
Oh.
We did a
No
poll.
wonder he bumps into that glass anyway.
We did a poll on the Nerdy Up North Twitter page. Yes, I'm calling it Twitter because I ain't calling it X because Elon Musk. And we did it on the Nerdy Up North Discord as well. We will announce the results on that because I think it was a relevant question to ask, because I think we're all going to be in agreement when we talk about it. So if you haven't voted already, and if it's still open, get to the Nerdy Up North Twitter page or Discord and vote now, and we will discuss that later. The Wrath of Khan. A question for you both. Which version did you watch? Did you watch the theatrical version or the director's version?
I am proud to say that I still own some physical media. And when I own physical media, I mean I own the extended director's cut.
Yes!
And I absolutely love it. And I fiddled with my Xbox. Sounds terrible, but
well,
poor choice of word. I'm known for that.
What a lovely Xbox you have.
And I configured it to play DVDs again, because one thing that you learn about Star Trek movies is they're off region sometimes, and the Xbox doesn't read it. So it's a royal pain. But in watching that DVD, I also have the Blu-ray somewhere, because I pulled it out just so I could go, I have physical media, guys.
I bought physical media as well.
I'm glad you pulled it out of your box for us.
Yes, I've got that.
It's fresh out of my box, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
I have the full set in Blu-ray. Yeah, the Blu-ray. I have that too, which was fun because this is where you could see when I rewatched Star Trek 6, you could see all the stitching from where Spock's wig was attached. Yeah. So a lot of my friends always point that out. It's like, yeah, I like the upgrades, but at the same time, I don't, because as you could see all the flaws. Like, flaws are great.
Well, it's one of those ones, like, it's like, I can't remember if it was Discovery or Strange New Worlds, but where you can very much tell that Spock's ears aren't blended correctly. Like, where you can blatantly tell that they're just stuck on, you know?
I want to say Strange New Worlds, because or maybe at the end of Discovery Season 2, which we just watched yesterday.
Yeah, because I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of them, and all I was looking at was the ear tips where they
when after he shaved, because like he was overly hairy, and then he like shaves at the last scene of the last episode. I think so. I think it was Discovery. I they figured out to pay attention.
I like how many famous characters have, like, you know, bits in their history where they just grew a beard for a while.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like,
and it was. So I thought it was Mirror Universe Spock. No joke, because he's all bearded up.
Yeah,
and then it wasn't. I was like, what? But troubled youth. Troubled youth.
I have no idea which version of Khan I watched. I watched the Paramount Plus one, and I don't know if that's extended.
That will be the crap version, because Paramount Plus just seemed to completely mishandle Star Trek. And yes, I said it. Come at me, bro.
To be fair, the graphics seemed updated. Like the special effects seemed a lot, like, you know.
Well,
better. But I don't know if that means that it's the best version.
I think everything on Paramount Plus is 4K, but there is two versions of the film. There's a theatrical one and the Nick Meyer one. The Nick Meyer one is extended, like Joe said, and
2 discs.
Yeah, and it's that is my favorite. This was the only Star Trek film to be recognized at the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh,
which is, you know, for a science fiction movie, is practically unheard of.
Yeah.
Widely regarded as the greatest Star Trek film of all time. However, I agree with Synoiz. You need to appreciate this film by watching Space Seed, because when you watch The Wrath of Khan without any knowledge of Space Seed from the original series, you kind of get a one-sided story. So you really just hear what Khan wants you to hear, and then you get a little bit of exposition from Kirk because someone I fought with 15 years ago now out for vengeance, and you're just like, okay, but why? What was? All we are getting is that you marooned them. But when you watch Space Seed, because Khan tried to take over the Enterprise after the Enterprise found the Botany Bay, which was launched from Earth in the mid-90s. Khan and his crew are all genetically superior augments. For those that don't know, there is a period in Star Trek history called the Eugenics Wars, which seem to be shifting time periods every bloody series at the moment, because it was the 90s.
Because we've already passed the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh shit, the Eugenics War was in the 2090s.
Yeah. So, but basically, in this version of Star Trek, Khan in the 90s was a leader of a quarter of the population of Earth. There was a massive war, devastating war, millions died, and chased into exile, basically, Khan and his loyal followers escaped Earth on a ship called the Botany Bay. So they fled into space.
From New Jersey.
From New Jersey. And oh,
maybe they should have just taken all of New Jersey with them, just like put some like engines on the bottom of it. And
when they were like flying up into the atmosphere, we were just like, oh, I fly here.
Flying over here.
I'm flying over here. But so they disappeared, and no one had heard from them, no one had found them or anything like that until the Enterprise discovered the ship 200 years later. Khan and his crew subsequently then try to take over the Enterprise because they are genetically superior in mind and strength. They fail, but Kirk
Fu, baby.
Kirk Fu, but Kirk, in his infinite wisdom, goes, we will not maroon you, but we will set you down on a colony, on a planet, on a deserted planet, suitable for life, and we will give you all the facilities that you need to make a thriving civilization, and that will be your kingdom. That will be your planet to rule as you see fit. And one of the lines in the original series episode is like, it would be interesting to visit in decades to see what progress they have made. And as we find out, they never fucking did it. They just left him.
That
was the job
required...
of the Cerritos. Second contact.
I think it just required like him just to put a reminder in his calendar or something, being like sort of, oh, by the way, check on superhuman colony. But the thing is, they do say 100 years, so technically they don't forget about them. They just had a really stupid long time before checking on them. You know,
it's very. But that is the basis of the original series episode, which of course inspired this movie, which was originally called The Vengeance of Khan before it was changed to The Wrath of Khan, as we know. Right. I think coming off the motion picture, they learnt a lot, because the motion picture was, let's be honest, it was a cash grab for Paramount to cash in on the popularity of Star Wars. They had a science fiction franchise. What could we use against Star Wars? Oh, we've got Star Trek. There we go. They realised with The Wrath of Khan that it could go its own way and that it could be more mature, and Star Trek could be darker and more grown up than what it had been up until this point. And we got so many wonderful things from this. We got the monster maroon uniform. We got this. One of the greatest uniforms.
This is the first time I feel underdressed for this podcast, and I'm wearing fucking velvet. You know?
It's part of your Geesian culture, though, to wear velvet. It's fine. It's
part of my Geesian culture just to spit upon the expectations of other cultures. It's literally just being like sort of a dickhead. So,
but we got Kirstie Alley as Salah.
R.I.P.
That ended badly though, but if we're gonna go into Kirstie Alley in later years, she is good in this movie.
But we got the Kobayashi Maru, the introduction.
We got to see it.
We got to see the Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah.
This was the acknowledgement of a crew becoming past their prime, and this was, for me, this was humanizing the Enterprise crew. This was showing that they are not like impervious; they are completely fallible. They are not these superhero people that can just, we could just do this, save the galaxy, and move on to the next one. These are just like, there is risk, there is serious jeopardy. And holy crap, the music in this film is just it's
I kind of think though that it's helped by the main theme not being as strong as for the motion picture.
Yes,
we have to reuse this because the theme, what becomes the Next Generation theme, is so good that the guys are just like, we just have to use this all over the shop, and it kind of spoils things a bit. Whereas this has a proper, well thought out and engaging soundtrack.
It's very, because it was at an era where Blade Runner had just come out, and it was very that dark sci-fi where it had. I mean, as you guys have just heard there in the little caption, in the northeast of England, that is literally the intro for the Wrath of Khan theme. It is dark. It is just one note all the way through. I love, though, how Nick Mayer brought a militaristic theme and tone to Star Trek with this film. How it felt more, although it is science fiction 200 years in the future, it felt more grounded in reality, and everything just felt more real, more gritty. And
I think that's the maturity of it, though. It's like we're saying, it's like, I'm going to say my piece here, where it's the fact of, this is the first Star Trek movie, okay?
Yes.
The first one, obviously we discussed it last month. I hated it, if I'm perfectly honest. The more I think about it, the more I go,
shit porn.
That was terrible. You know, it was not a good movie. This is an amazing movie. This is the best translation of going, here is Star Trek, here's how we make it into a feature-length film.
Yeah.
And it does it spectacularly. And then it allows the characters to age. Like, it's because they're telling the same story that they had from the first. This basically retcons the first movie. It basically just goes, hey, you know how we were telling that story about how Kirk shouldn't have got promoted and he really wants to be out in space and stuff? We're just going to tell it again like it didn't happen in the last one, but do a better job with it, where it's like, you know, where it's got him and McCoy like at his birthday and he's like reminiscing about stuff, and McCoy's like, you should have refused the promotion. You should have, like, you know, got back out into space.
Your last best destiny is being out there, is being a captain,
and that's the realest thing. Like, the idea of just, you know, it's not just, have crazy adventures like in the series. It's basically going, as you're getting older, you've got to think about what's important to you. You've got to make hard decisions and stuff, and that's exactly what this movie is. And Kirk's arc in it is great.
It's very, it hits home, and it hit home for me. When I rewatched it again upon reflection after everything that's happened, where it's just like where Spock says being a captain is your last best destiny, your last greatest destiny. It is who you are meant to be.
Spock just wanted the promotion over him, though.
Well, he has no ego to bruise.
I should be your boss.
He has no ego to bruise. Let's not forget.
No, of course not.
But it makes you realize that in life, they say you must strive for the next thing. You must strive for this promotion. You have to better yourself. You know, and some people get to a position in life where they are extremely comfortable. They are happy in their place of work. They are happy in their lane in life, and then they get a promotion, and then they are no longer comfortable. They are no longer happy. Yes, you know, they've got more money, but they are not as fulfilled as they were in a lower position of the job. And this is sort of telling that in a futuristic Star Trek sense, where it's just like, it's brilliant that he got promoted as head of Starfleet but he is not emotionally fulfilled by this, because his real passion is exploring the galaxy, because he is a natural born explorer. He is born to be out there in space. He is not born to sit behind a desk. And it, you know, for people watching it, it helps them realize, well, what is my place in life? What is my destiny? What am I supposed to do? And I think it made me reflect on what we do here at Trekking Up North, where it's just like, well, I've spent,
or don't do in my case.
Or don't do, yeah. I've spent 14 years of my life doing a job that it pays the bills and I am good at it, but I am not fulfilled by that role. It does not give me satisfaction on a fundamental level. Whereas doing this, it doesn't pay as much, obviously, but I get so
you get
much.
Paid?
I
Wow, congrats.
Basically, I think Paul throws some coins at his feet occasionally, and he has to be like, thank you, cult leader.
Thank God.
Scrambles them up.
Thank God for the offshore Cayman account. The
Nice.
I've got an offshore gay man account. Is that the same?
Yes, and I keep telling you to remove my number from that book. The
so wait. One thing I got to ask you is, being a teacher in England is not fulfilling anymore. Is that what you do? Right? You're a teacher.
I am absolutely not a teacher.
You should be a teacher, though. Good morning, Mr. Goodwill.
No, I sound like I should be on a register.
Throw a duster at me the next time.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna follow up with, because Goodwill's like, F them kids. I want to be out talking about Star Trek.
But that's the thing. Like in doing this over the last year, it's like this has been more emotionally fulfilling. This has given me real purpose in life, and it's sort of helped me regain a love for something I did a lot of before I moved into what I do now, and it's sort of like reignited the passions. And
sorry.
And you can see this within Kirk, because even at the end of the film, because at the beginning of the film, he feels old. He feels he feels old and feels in the way. At the end of this film, how do you feel? I feel young. Everything has happened, but he feels young again because he is in the position that he knows best, that he is the most comfortable in. The turmoil in getting there also shapes Kirk, and I believe, because we say this a lot in Trekkin Up North, Kirk in the original series, for the most part, is not a good captain. He does make some questionable decisions. Requiem for Methuselah, for example. Leave us alone, we're fighting over a woman.
Decisions.
And it's
a robot. She's a robot, Jim.
Yeah.
It's all right. I had flashlights in the 20th.
Damn it, Jim, that's a cog. And it's, from the Wrath of Khan onwards, and especially in Search for Spock, we see the humanization of Kirk. We see a more well-rounded James Kirk that has to wrestle with his prejudices, has to wrestle with his demons, has grudges, has a deep-seated issue within him that he wrestles all the way through these movies, all the way up to the Undiscovered Country, as we see. And this is the starting point for it. And there is one scene where we just see Kirk, and I think it's brilliant acting from Shatner, because it's a broken Kirk for the first time. We've never seen it in a way that's like, this is a hero that, all the way through the original series, this is like, everyone wants to be Captain Kirk. He's the hero. He's the greatest person. And then we just see, shit, even Kirk can be emotionally compromised, and even Kirk is fallible.
Well, it's the end of the dream, effectively. It's like, we've seen Kirk where he's constantly winning and he's constantly in charge of stuff and he's able to do whatever he wants. Like, and obviously that's part of what I think spoils him as a character a little bit. But then in this, we basically go, here's consequences. Here is actually going, you can't have everything. Like, obviously spoilers, but if you're watching this and you haven't seen Wrath of Khan,
where the hell you
shall I give him a quick?
When Spock dies, it's the idea of just being like, oh, it's all very real now. It's not just flying around the galaxy and luckily always being on top and stuff like that. And I think it does make him go, oh, okay, I need to rethink sort of my place and everything and whatnot. But I think the wonderful thing about, sorry, I just want to talk about like jobs and stuff, but the idea of the joy of Trek is that we're not limited by capitalism like we have here, where people have to have jobs that they don't want to do and they have to live out lives that they don't want to be living out because they have to exist. They have to work at McDonald's even though they don't want to, because they need to pay the bills in order to eat. And in the Trek universe, we basically see what happens when they just go, hey, the essentials are free, do what you want, follow your dreams, you can play any role in society. and no role in society has stigma, where it's like, oh, you want to be a hairdresser, cool. Oh, you want to like own a restaurant, cool.
It's
here's
about
the
finding
resources
that
for it.
passion, and
Yeah,
through that passion you gain satisfaction and respect.
yeah, it's that thing. It's like, it's not communism per se, but it's the idea of just going, look, do what makes you happy and contribute to the whole.
Yeah.
But what we see in this, though, is that there's another side of it, of there's still expectation. There's still kind of, oh, but you're meant to progress. You're meant to go bigger. Like, oh, if you're a chef, you need to become a massive chef and you need to have all these restaurants and do all of this and stuff. And, oh, you're a Starfleet captain. Well, you naturally want to become an admiral and get a desk job where you're not doing the scary stuff and whatnot. And then you kind of realize, no, you can, and it's a lesson for life, that you can finish halfway up the ladder and go, that's cool, I'm fine,
I'm happy here.
Yeah, I don't need the big bucks, I don't need that. And I think that's something that comes with age, and that's the recurring theme of this movie, the whole, getting older, getting wiser, but then having to look back on your life and being like, could have done better there. Because all of this entire movie is because like Kirk let him live. That's the big question of going, this wouldn't happen.
Well, not only that,
but you not have just gone, hey, cool, war criminal, just have a planet, just like...
The other thing is, though, it's also a testament of the Kobayashi Maru, because as we know, he was the only person to beat the Kobayashi Maru in actuality, supposedly,
by cheating and avoiding his responsibility.
Exactly. And that, I think that's the undertone talk about this movie is, hey, you have to face a situation where you are not going to win. And he's like eating his apple, I don't believe in no in situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, this is the first time where he's actually thinking,
ass.
oh, crap, I can't win here. I'm going to either lose somebody, lose my ship, or, other worse things, lose the Genesis project. It was too much at stake all at once. So this was his actual Star Trek II Kobayashi Maru was the other name for this.
Well, the general synopsis of this film is basically Khan is seeking vengeance against Kirk for marooning him on a planet 15 years ago. Now, this all comes about because Chekhov on the U.S.S. Reliant is the first officer on this, and they are looking for a suitable planet which is completely devoid of all life and any preanimate matter or anything like that, so they could launch this device called
Genesis.
The Genesis, and
which is terraforming.
It's rapid terraforming. Yeah. So essentially they
fire 7 days, but here Genesis 5 hours.
Yeah, and this device, once fired into a planet, can completely terraform that planet in a matter of minutes. It can reorganize matter into life-generating matter, organisms, water, atmosphere, and basically what they are trying to say is, at this period in Star Trek, there is an issue with galactic food and population, because the Federation is growing at a rapid scale. Populations are growing, but they are. As much as it was in the early 80s, they would go, well, we might not have enough food. We might not have enough space to accommodate all these people. So what do we do? And these scientists came up with this creation where, hey, we can, instead of taking 200 years to terraform someone, we can do it in 6 minutes. We can terraform an entire planet. Now, I love the moral implications, and I love the fact that McCoy is the one that brings the moral implications into this, because everyone, up until when they find out what Genesis is, it's just like, this is brilliant, it can change the galaxy. And he's just like, what if this is used on a planet that already has life on it? Oh, well, it'll just erase that in favor of its new matrix.
The restart.
Yeah. I like that Bones goes nuts about this. I love that when McCoy's like, whoa, the implications. And it's very relevant to what we have nowadays with stuff like AI, because you can happily look at AI and stuff like AI art and be like, that's amazing. How cool is that? Oh, that's revolutionary. But then when you think of it in context, you're just like, oh, that's terrible, because all the jobs it'll get rid of. Like I've had two mates who have lost their jobs to AI in the last month. Because it just goes, oh, we don't need you anymore. This AI thing is going to do your entire job for you. And that's the thing with the idea of Genesis just being like, this is cool, but isn't it gonna do, destroy life? And all the other implications are basically like going, you can have perfect planets and won't it detriment other planets, Like,
Yeah, and it's so what happens is they find a planet in the Ceti Alpha system, Ceti Alpha.
Ceti Alpha 5.
Well, they think it's Ceti Alpha 6.
Right.
So
Right.
they
wouldn't they be sort of, let's not go there? That's a bit close to where.
But
Yeah,
I suppose though,
That's
I suppose though, he had no ability to get off the planet, so they were just like, well, he's obviously not a threat. He's
a fucking superhuman. He could
I
have
know,
made it out of like he could have just sellotaped some sandworms together and made.
Are you saying he's the MacGyver of the 23rd century? Is that what you were saying?
To be fair,
He's got the mullet.
I'm gonna go on a big rant later about how Khan is actually pretty shit. But like the way he's bigged up in all of Star Trek lore, you just go, he should have been able to fix the bloody ship. He learned engineering and how the Enterprise worked in like a scene.
But he didn't know the prefix code.
Yeah, and in this one, it's like, but you can't fix the actual Botany Bay, can you? Oh well, never mind.
Then. Well, they jettisoned the Botany Bay in Space Sea. They gave him just containers. They set him down on the cargo containers. They did not give him a ship at all.
We could have made something. He could have. Who am I thinking of? I don't know.
So they
Scrap Heap challenged it.
They find Ceti Alpha 6 and they go, it's completely devoid of life. And then Chekhov goes, well, not necessarily. We're detecting some sort of matter on the planet. It might be a clog in our sensors, but we need to go check. They beam down. They find a host of cargo containers welded together. And as they are going through, they see like old computers, old chess sets, food, tin food. And then Chekhov comes across a seatbelt and he's like, Botany Bay. Botany Bay. Oh, damn. And he shits himself. And as they are
that
legging
is my favorite Chekhov scene I've had so far. I love it.
But the sudden realization of where he is, and they're right there on the screen there. As soon as they walk out the containers, they are all there waiting for him. And this is all the while back on Earth, where Kirk is supervising the Kobayashi Maru simulation for Lieutenant Savak. It must have been weird in the cinema in 1982, I believe. Was it 1982?
Yes, unfortunately.
Why am I watching strippers in space?
Yeah, but it must have been weird for the cinema goers to just watch, in the first 5 minutes, watch the entire crew die. Yeah. And then just like, all right, who's this woman? Why is she in charge? And why is everyone dead? And then just say,
hold on, can we just put? It's a tangent, but like that opening scene is amazing because obviously they hadn't thought of the holodeck yet. That obviously becomes famous in Next Generation,
right?
And I just love the idea that all these really, really famous people just have to be sitting in on the exam. Because basically, if you haven't seen it, the scene is, it starts off and it sounds like a real crew situation, and then it turns out that actually with them getting attacked and all of the things, so we see Spock get blown up and thrown away from the console, we see Bones dying, we see the whole crew like killed because of this thing, and then it turns out to be a training exercise where it was actually Kirstie Alley's what's her name, Savick. Savick's captain's exam, which he fails. And I just love the idea that, that's like literally just getting like, I don't know, like Tom Cruise or something to sit in on your exam and then just pretend to die at some point. Like Spock, like someone as famous as Spock just lying on the ground playing dead. And it's so weird.
But it all comes about because the Enterprise, although she is a famous ship, she has now become a training vessel for cadets. So they are essentially training these new cadets on how to man a starship, going through the captain's exam for Savak with the Kobayashi Maru. And as Kirk says, how we deal with death is equally as important as how we deal with life. And, what would be your recommendation? Pray, Savak. The Klingons don't take prisoners. And it's essentially... they're all fresh-faced cadets. This is a training cruise. They're all going to the Enterprise. It's Kirk's birthday, but they are all going to go into the Enterprise for this 3-week training cruise to train this new, young, inexperienced crew on how to operate a Starfleet vessel. All the while, Kirk is feeling very melancholy because it is his birthday, He's been given a book, The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, by Spock. You know, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And I love the fact that Bournes, out of everything, gives him Romulan ale and glasses.
Well, here's some more brandy.
He's like, by the way, you need glasses, but this will soften the blow. I love that it's illegal as well. Like,
the Romulan ale.
Isn't this illegal? And he's like, yes, but
no one cares. No one cares it's illegal.
I think the difference, I don't want to compare this too much to the first film, because obviously I hated the first film, but it's the fact of what we see here is McCoy's humor landing properly and the scene lending it to his humor. Like in the scene we were just talking about where he plays dead and then Kirk sort of compliments him on his acting. You know, he's got a little quip there and it's fun. And
what do you think of my performance? I'm not a drama critic.
And it lands and it's fun. And you just go, and you realize that it's, you know, the first one, it wasn't the actor's fault. It's literally just a crap, like, script in a crap film, basically.
But you didn't like the bald lady?
No. The problem
who ascended into goddom at the end?
Persis Combata.
I liked it. Well, I think we agreed that the only scene that I absolutely loved is where she just like breaks through the door, where she just walks through the door. That is the best moment.
I am done with this now.
Bored now, moving on. But no, but like McCoy really shines in this film, and it's wonderful. Not all the actors that get time on screen shine. Like I think Sulu doesn't really, Uhura doesn't really get much to do.
She gets more in this movie than she did in the first one.
But
my light is flickering.
Getting to shine and having their own scenes.
God damn it, Adequate! Sort out your power systems. There we go.
The other thing I want to mention is Paul Winfred, especially since it's Black History Month here in America. No, the captain of the Reliant, the original captain.
Yeah.
Of the Reliant, Paul.
What a voice.
Yeah.
I was while I was making notes, I kept having to stop whenever he spoke just to look at the screen. It's like a voice that just commands attention.
It's like when he's on regular one, he's just like, he went crazy. He slit people's throats. And he's just like, oh, damn. Like, it's genuinely the voice of terror. Like the voice of PTSD from that. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. But yeah, so he, though not a pivotal role, though not as weighted as some of the other characters in this, but I was surprised that he stood no resistance to Khan. Like not even like, yeah, sure you're outnumbered, but he didn't know they were superpowered. All he saw was Khan pick up Chekhov. That was it. He just went, oh shit.
Yeah, and Chekhov's like 5 foot. So
he didn't even say like, hey Khan, you stop that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew this actor as being one of the most badass people on TV and in movies. Up until this movie, and seeing him in a more controlled verse was very interesting.
Yeah. Do you think like they cast him for that because it's like, you know, effectively it's kind of it kind of adds to Khan if this actor is a famous badass and then he's cowering to Khan. It kind of, you know, to people at the time, would it give a kind of indication of going, oh, we haven't seen it yet, but this Khan must be terrifying, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, think of it in today's audience, like Michael Jai White all of a sudden just going, all right, you got it, whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's that type of.
It adds to the gravitas of Khan and the terror of, this man commands this much strength and control over anyone. You know,
because out of context, Khan isn't really that threatening in the sake of thing. Like, I mean, Khan basically, I thought Khan's superpower was that he was just metrosexual and that it was just, you know, I mean, like, think about it. One of the first things he does after he comes out of like, you know, cryostasis is fixes a woman's hair, and I was just like, oh shit, this is a badass, you know. But it's just watch Space Heat; it's very good. But it's just like this idea of him just being. You know what? Because I put makeup on, but that's why they were scared of him. That's how the eugenics wars happened.
Yeah,
you know, leather pants, and hair product.
The other thing about Khan, he's also very charismatic. He's got, as we call here, the Riz, and with the Riz, you can convert people. So I had always, until I rewatched it in the director's cut, I had always assumed that he just used the Riz to just talk the people off the science station and the Reliant to just help him out. No, we got to help Khan. He's got the Riz, you know.
Yeah.
No, he killed everybody.
This is the thing. It's like in the original series episode in Space Seed, he very much is that. Like he's winning people over on the crew. He makes a member of the crew turn traitor purely because of his riz and charisma and whatnot. And then in this one, what we see is a weakened Khan. We see a Khan that has gone nuts, like who is so racked with the need for vengeance that he's not thinking straight for the whole thing. Like and even if he did have charisma previously, I don't think he does anymore. And that's probably why he resorts to insane violence like he does.
But the drive is because his wife was killed.
Yep.
My beloved
by those slugs.
I love that, like in the original series he's like, oh, you can stay if you want to, I'm not really that fussed, kind of thing. And then in this one he's like, oh, my wife.
But it's the fact that and again, this is why we had the poll, that he blames Kirk for...
Who married them?
You what?
Who married them? Like, did they exile a vicar as well?
No, they were married while they were in the pods.
Oh, I thought...
No, it was... He married the officer.
Yeah.
In Space
So that suggests that one of the superhumans is a vicar.
Or is officiated.
Or at least some kind of religious official.
Or he's like me, just ordained enough to marry someone. I could marry people. So.
That suggests, though, that they could get one of those postal certificates where you can make yourself a sort of, an official online. And it got posted to this planet. And they were like, couldn't we have got food, maybe? Or like sort of maybe away on the planet delivered. He's like, shut up.
He explained, because Chekhov is like, what are you doing here? It's and Khan realizes that Chekhov and his captain were not expecting to find Khan and the survivors there.
Right.
And then he comes
to the insult.
But he comes to
he's just like, oh, you came looking for me, and he's just like, oh, you didn't. You totally forgot about me.
Yeah, but he comes to the summation. He comes to the summation that they believe that this is City Alpha 6, and then he's like, "This is City Alpha 5."
Yes.
And he explains that City Alpha 6 exploded and it shifted the orbit and stuff like that. And then he gets straight down to brass tacks. He's like, why are you here? And that's when he lifts up Chekhov, who famously, as most Trekkies know, Chekhov was not in the episode Space Seed, so everyone just goes, "Oh, he was in the mess hall." Or he was doing an apprenticeship at the time. But the slug scene where he puts the slugs in it, and again, for Star Trek, up until this point, this was never heard of. This was like tantamount to torture in a way, and it's just like, all right, we got this Khan guy, fairly camp, slightly terrifying in that episode. Oh, so he's actually like piercing people's eardrums with space slugs and manipulating them. Mind control.
I mean, no one's perfect.
No, but he's got a glistening chest. But he wants to know why, and why are they there? Why are they finding them? I love that we get the regular one scenes with Carol Marcus and David Marcus, where we get this again age-old feud where scientists always believe that they are pawns of the military, or they have always been exploited by the military, so they create something for the greater good, which is then exploited by the military for the worst circumstances, in the worst
Star Trek 3.
In Star Trek 3, yeah.
Yes.
And I love that, and I love that Carol Marcus, because we know now in Strange New Worlds that Kirk knew Carol was pregnant.
Yeah, is that retcon though? I was going to bring that up.
So what it was. So later on in the scene, he knew Carol was pregnant, but she asked him to stay away.
Stay away, right?
And she never told David that Kirk was his father.
So David was the odd
we
man.
miss that. We miss that in this film where Carol tells David that Kirk is his father. That gets missed out.
Yeah,
I thought it was in the film.
No.
I thought it was
extended.
Oh, I must have seen that then.
Right? And
it had a scene in the version I watched.
Extended.
It has a scene at the end where David and Kirk.
Where they hug it out. Yeah. It's not in the extended, but it's something I believe would have added to the film to have that, that bombshell where David says something derogative and Carol just turns around and goes, "That's your father." Even in the cave, even in the cave.
Don't talk like that to your father.
But even in the cave, he's like, he killed them all, and she's like, he's your father. He would never do that, and just like boom. Yeah.
Also, look at him. He's not capable of it. Christ.
Yeah. But I love the fact that
he needs glasses.
But
by the way, hello Kelly. Hello Mark.
Oh, hi Kelly. Hi Mark. Tell me why you are here. Tell me why are you here, and tell me where I might find Admiral James T. Kirk. I love the plan that Khan does to summon Kirk as well, where it all just falls into place for Khan, where he's just like, the Genesis device. Oh, it was by Carol Marcus, a regular one. Oh, well, we could just say that we're coming to pick that up, and Admiral Kirk had ordered it. And just summoning Kirk, baiting Kirk, in a way. All while doing this 3-week training cruise with a bunch of cadets. I don't know about you, Synoiz, but did you in the scene in Space Dock where Kirk's doing the inspection of engineering, did you get Scotty's nephew talking shit to Kirk?
The younger lad.
Yeah.
The one that croaks.
No, I didn't. Well, I don't remember that. I didn't know that was his nephew.
So it was Scotty. No, it was Scotty's. It was Scotty's nephew. And basically,
that makes so much sense. Literally, because I was watching it and being like, why does he just bring a dead person to the bridge? I didn't realize.
So you didn't see the director's cut, because I think that was part of the director.
It just has this scene where this whole space battle's happened, and then turn around and Scotty's like. And I was just like, is he like a cat or something, bringing you a dead mouse in the morning? And we're like, oh god, Scotty's brought another corpse.
There's a scene. There's a scene where Kirk's inspecting engineering, and he's doing. I love the fact that the uniform's got pockets, and he just does the dust on there, and then he's going around, and he goes. The young engineer pops up and he goes, I think you find out everything is in order, sir. And he's like, oh, really? Do you have any idea the amount of stick I've had to put up in the officers' mess that the Enterprise is the equivalent of a flying death trap? And this young engineer who's met Kirk for the first time, and he's like, oh no, we're the best engineering in the fleet. And if you can't recognize that, then you're as blind as a Tiberian bat, sir. And I love the fact that Kirk just looks at him and goes, oh. And then just goes to Scotty.
And with the new glasses, no less. You talk about my glasses, man.
And he's going to Scotty. He's just like, he's tenacious.
It needs a new director's cut where basically Kirk just lifts the handbag up into shot.
And Scotty's just like, sister's younger sir, eager to get into space. Yeah. And that's where he's just like
makes so much more sense now.
Well, that's when they start the training.
Because I literally just went, do you do that with everyone who dies in engineering? Look what I found.
Hold on, give me a minute.
But to be for the Enterprise to be obviously when they get the distress call from Regular One, for the Enterprise to be the only ship again in the sector to be summoned there, and even Kirk convenient, and even Kirk's like, we've got a boat full of children. And I have to take command. And you can see that Kirk is just like, Spock, you are the captain, you should take command. And he's just like, but you're the ranking officer. I don't have an ego to bruise. And that's when we get that terrific conversation where he's just like, you accepting a promotion was wrong. It was a mistake. Being a captain is your first best destiny. And the fact that, again, it shows that not just Kirk, but the Enterprise itself, this mighty vessel that we have seen, for 20 years nearly at this point, that was completely infallible, where it gets caught, as Kirk says, caught with his britches down, where the reliance that Khan has taken over approaches them, and he's just like, oh, they're not raising shields. Of course we are. One big happy fleet. Yeah.
Yeah. One big happy fleet.
But then Kirk, like,
Boil to my chest.
But then Khan just absolutely broadsides the Enterprise and just causes so much havoc and damage. And you see all these young kids fleeing for their lives. Like, engineering is blowing up left, right, and center. And I've got a surround sound system, so I could actually hear Scotty now shouting in the director saying, "Get back to your posts! Get back to your posts!" And they're all fleeing, but you do see Scotty's nephew after with everyone running out of engineering. You see, what does God need with a starship? You are 3 films early, damn it, Mark. But thank you for the
I love it.
No.
You are under the impression I'm leaving LA once the event's over. I am not. Give me a job. You see Scotty's nephew running towards the explosions, running to save people. When you watch it, like, all these people are taking oxygen masks and fleeing and panicking, and
he did not watch those videos from HR.
No, but he is pulling people like out of it and stuff like that.
He's a damn hero.
Yeah, he's a damn hero, and you get that later on where Scotty, obviously Scotty brings him up to the bridge, and like we see him sadly pass away, and he's just like, he stayed at his post when the other trainees ran, and I loved that because this is after Khan has blindsided him, and he's like, I discussed terms of surrender. I want you in addition to all data in relation to Genesis. Blah 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 blah. Kirk does a brilliant thing where he's just, we're pulling up the data now, but our computers are smashed. And go on.
I have to say, like, the main thing for me, okay, like I'm saying, Khan is very good in the episode. In this one, he isn't as clever as he should be. And I think it's because he's blinded by his need for revenge. But I think it's great that we finally get to see Kirk being amazing, like being this clever tactician. Like, because Kirk is one step ahead of Khan for the whole episode. Like, even Spock sort of goes, hey, Khan is thinking very two-dimensionally. Like, it's very easy to get around him. And like, and it's kind of badass that it's literally everything Khan does. Kirk is like, oh, I've got, I've already thought about that. No. And it's a great film for how it redeems Kirk after, a lot of episodes of him being a bit of a hothead and stuff like that in season 3.
Because he essentially, they override the prefix code on the Reliance. They shut down the shields.
I love it so much. But this is the annoying thing, though, where you're just like, how did you not see this coming, Khan? You're meant to be really clever. Like,
he didn't touch the controls. His crew was taking care of everything.
Yeah, and he's like,
and Spacey, he was touching everything.
Where's the override? Where's the override? And
he doesn't know where anything is.
They're in a blind
It's this idea of going, surely, like, in stuff like DS9 and stuff, even the villains are like, we know what your ships are capable of and things like that. And it is just, but it's the most genius move in the entire world that he's just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to transfer the thing over to you. And instead what he does is he transfers the code to turn the shields off. And then they're like, we did not know.
The shields are down, sir.
But this
what
is
are we
the
going to
thing.
do?
But you do raise a good point. Like, and Spock raises it when the Enterprise is attacked. He knew exactly where to hit us, to cripple us, to disable us. And you do raise that point. If he knew, he's never seen this ship before. And he's like, well,
this is the
refit. Yeah. If he knew where to hit them, how did he not know about the prefix code? And we all know it's a plot device and this, that, and the other. But it does show that Khan is, at this point, he is Ahab. He is blinded by the quest for vengeance. And he even says it to Kirk, I mean to avenge myself upon you. But I love the fact that Kirk, when Savak goes, you did it, sir, and he goes, I did nothing. I was just caught with my britches down. And Kirk at this point, he's not like bragging, he's just like, he's humbled. And he's just like, don't celebrate me because we got absolutely tore to pieces because of my own hubris, that this is another Starfleet vessel and we're one big, like Khan said, we are one big happy fleet. He knew in his gut something was wrong, but it was too little too late. And we then see obviously Scotty's nephew being brought to the bridge, and Scotty shell-shocked by this. But in the extended version, when McCoy pronounces him dead and puts the cover over him, Scotty is a broken man, and we just hear him like sob. Why? Like, why has this happened?
I need to watch that, man.
Oh,
I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen this version. Like, because I saw it years ago, and I barely remember it from then. And then rewatching it for this, I've only watched.
It's brilliant because this is one of the few editions of a film where it is so night and day between the theatrical and the directors, because the director's cut from Nick Mayer, it humanizes the crew on such an emotional level. You see a broken Scotty where it's just like, why did he do this? And Kirk is like, he blames me for marooning him 15 years ago. And then you see Scotty where he just looks at McCoy and he goes, thank you, Doctor, I know you did your best. And he just leaves crying.
Yeah.
And then there's this scene between McCoy and Kirk where we see the vulnerability of Kirk, where McCoy's just like, you saved us. And he said, I only saved us because I knew something about these ships that he didn't.
Yeah.
And you see that, like,
well, it's programming there. It was another layer in the ship systems that only like top brass know. So maybe that's the only reason why I didn't know it. But
can we just say though that does anyone else really empathize with? I don't know if he gets a name, but the member of Khan's crew who is constantly just being like,
his right hand man.
Being like, everyone has been that person at a job, where you're just going, we should totally fix this problem because it's going to be a massive deal.
Oh, yes.
Make things, and it's this idea. And I was just like, he's the guy in the office being like, should we maybe like fix the fire exit, or should we maybe, like.
But he raises a good point, though. He does raise a good point.
Butcher Bryant.
Butcher Bryant. But he raises a good point where it's just like, you have saved us from exile. We have got a ship and the means to go where we want. And this is where the audience first sees Khan is blinded by pure vengeance, because he's just like, he asks me, and I shall give it to him. I will chase him around.
If he just left the poker table when he was ahead, he would have beaten Kirk. Because he would have gone, hey, because the guy points out to him, like, you've already beaten Kirk by getting off the bloody planet.
Are you quoting
and
Kenny
now you
Rogers?
have a Genesis device. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And instead, he's like, no, I'm going to go for this petty vengeance because that means more to me than actually winning.
Yeah, he's gone full Ahab. Yeah.
No one goes full Ahab.
But it's, again, we see the first vulnerability of Kirk. We see the vulnerability of this mighty Enterprise, which, the first movie was barely scratched, and this one is just like, oh shit! Like the visual effects that we see, and they are practical effects as well, because this one is the Wrath of Khan Enterprise. It's all battle damage, and it's just like you see like this mighty vessel just like tore on one side and burnt and charred and stuff, and you're just like, this is like the greatest starship ever, and it's been absolutely fucked up by this tiny little ship because of hubris and a quest for vengeance. And we see all the way through this dangerous game of cat and mouse where they are equal opponents. Like a fun fact for the Wrath of Khan, they weren't going to redesign another ship. They were just going to keep another Constitution. It was going to be another.
Yeah, they're going to keep actually the original. The TOS ship was going to be the Reliant.
But they needed something different so the audience could differentiate what ship is where. And when they signed off on this design, the director, I think Nick, signed it accidentally upside down. So the Reliant was actually supposed to be the other way up, but because Nick had signed it upside down on the paper, the designers just went, oh, that's the way he wanted it. So they built it with the nacelles and everything pointing downwards.
Which I think is better.
I think it's better. But this is the start of the cat and mouse chase. And we see them head into Regular One, where we just see Khan just went absolutely batshit crazy on these scientists. And I love again, another first for Star Trek, where this is the first horror element of Star Trek, where they are going through this. It's very Alien again, and it's very Blade Runner again, and then we just see that. I mean, as a kid, I jumped out of my pants when McCoy hits those hands, and that violin and everything kicks in, and he's just like, Jim, and I'm just like, oh. But even in the director's cut, they show the dead body's face just dripping with blood and the eyes open and everything, and he just like, holy shit, like it'd never been seen in Star Trek ever.
I need to see this director's cut.
It
sounds so
it's way better.
Brilliant.
It's so much
absolutely
because we only get like, we literally go, oh, there's some dead people, best let them down. You know, it's literally that is the whole
if
scene.
I'm not mistaken, it's like a 20 minutes longer in time.
It's fairly long, but then when they rescue the captain and Chekhov from the storage locker, and we see again Kirk, it's the tiniest little things in this film, but it's Kirk just going, I'm not going to mess around with this code, I'm just going to punch the override and just pull it out. And again, this is not something you've seen from a captain, where he's just like, he is driven by this guilt that he's had. He's got like he said, a boatload of children that are dying because of something he did 15 years ago. And now he's just like, just that little gesture, you can just see the conviction that he's got. And again, oh, sir, he went wild. He slit their throats. He murdered them. He tore the place apart. And it's chilling. It is really chilling, because the belief in the captain's voice that, he is terrified by this, but he cannot control it. It adds a new dimension to this villain that we've just seen in this little original series episode, I think.
But this is the thing, because the problem with Khan in the original series is the fact of we never really, we get a bit of a sort of, that he's a bit of a dickhead and like, he's like, power hungry. But then when you put it in context, it's like don't they say that he sort of ruled like 70% of the Earth or
he
something?
He ruled a quarter of the planet.
Point.
Yeah.
And it's like going, okay, and it doesn't really come across from it, but then at the same time that's probably saying a lot, because if you have it, you could probably have like dinner with Hitler and not suspect that he was a nutter. Like you'd be like...
I think it's also the time frame, that because you're dealing with people that have never gone to space in the capacity of the current Trek. So I think that has a lot to do with it. The mindset that people are smarter individually as opposed to just a handful of people that have been given an augmentation. Everybody's kind of grown in their own mindsets individually and as a collective. Whereas Khan, it was just, I'm the smart one and you guys just all worship me. Okay, cool.
20th century thinking in the 23rd century,
Yeah.
It is weird, though, that the only one who knows who he is the only one who sides with him. And it's like, hang on. Shouldn't it be the opposite way? Shouldn't it be the people being like, oh, it's just this guy who's really charismatic. That's cool. We'll listen to him. Rather than the person being like, oh, he's a psychopathic war criminal. Sounds great,
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a weird one that's the way it works. Whereas everyone else is like, he's a bit sus, isn't he?
But again, it also parallels modern society, where we see people like, oh, he was an absolute psychopath. He did have good points, though. And you're just like, no, he was still a psychopath.
The roads, and you're like,
yeah, and I think that does parallel modern society, because we do see that where people are going, yeah, that dude from 20 years ago, who we won't mention because YouTube will probably take us down, who lived in a cave. He had some good views, and he just like, no, he was a nutcase on dialysis. So,
It's kind of interesting, like, how the eugenics wars is viewed generally in the Federation. Because we have it in Deep Space Nine, where we go, augmentation is illegal, and we have it in Strange New Worlds, where we're like going, it's a bad thing that it is basically, you're limiting yourselves with it. But you kind of go like, are we only seeing the official Starfleet stance on it?
Yeah.
Whereas could there still be sort of Khan sympathizers in the Federation and stuff like that who are like, they were badly done to? Like, that we don't ever have any hint of it, but it's the idea of, the way that the historian, I've forgotten the name, but the historian crew member in Space Seed acts, you just go like, she seems awfully sympathetic to him, and rather than just needing a booty call, but it's an
In
odd one,
space.
because
No one can hear you
he
get
is
railed.
hot, but like,
I think that's a big problem. Oh my.
But it's they can't find the majority of the crew, but again, in the director's version, we find out, like, Carol Marcus, when she finds out that the Reliant is coming and she is hell-bent on them not taking Genesis, it is their project, it is not the whim of the military to take this, and she's just like, well, where are we going to go? And they're just like, pack whatever gear you can, we have got a place to go where they can't find us and stuff like that. And that's how the transporter logs go, oh, well, these
basically the cellar.
Yeah, and these coordinates are in a cave deep in the planet. Well, how do you know that? That we can't read anything. Well, they obviously went there, and I love the fact that Kirk and McCoy have this thing, and they go, but what happens if there's nothing there? And Kirk's just like, well, now is your big chance to get away from it all. It's just like, what happens if it's just rock? Well, you'll die. But they beam down, and this
I love how this is insult to injury, because McCoy is terrified of transporters famously.
The first film.
And then Kirk's just like, okay, so let's just do the most dangerous thing you can do with a transporter.
But they beam down to the Genesis cave, and they are ambushed by the scientists. And then just David Marcus just full on fucking wails on Kirk. Like, there is, I mean, at this point there is no daddy angst, but he has got some goddamn angst against Kirk. And again, where this scene could have deserved like a little bit of an addition is where Carol is just like, stop it, but mother, he killed them all. Oh, David, you're just making it. Oh, David, you're just making it worse. He's your father. That should have just been put in. It should have just been.
Yeah, especially since life and death had gotten involved. Maybe it's a good time to tell you, this man's your dad, Like...
But then Kirk's going to Carol, that's David? Like, even David's going, yes, who the fuck are you? Do you know what I mean? And it just could have done with just that little bit of addition there, to have that. But another terrifying scene is the captain turning the phaser on himself. Yeah. Where after he's talking to Carrie, he's like, Your Excellency, we have done what you asked. And like the beam up Genesis, and he just full on vaporizes that dude. Because this is, I think,
we've skipped a little bit here, where it's the idea of how cool it is that when they go to the station, they find Chekhov, they find the captain, and they're basically pretending to have recovered from the brain worms. So they're going, we were under their control, but we're not now, we're fine. Yeah. And then when they get to the Genesis cave, they basically go, lols, we're still waiting for Khan.
Psych!
Yeah, mega lols.
Yeah. Put your hands up, gentlemen.
And basically they put a phaser on them and stuff, and it's like a big double cross. But then... And then we get something that's quite cute, I think, which is the idea of Khan orders them to kill Kirk, and they can't do it. Despite being mind-controlled, they can't actually bring themselves to do it.
He's got more wrist than you!
It's a crazy scene, because like you're saying, it does get dark. Like, Trek gets very dark.
But we see where Khan is just like... You must do one last thing, kill Kirk. And he's just like, I find it hard to do. And you see the internal struggle that he is having, and he just eventually just turns the phaser on himself and vaporizes him. But then Can
we do this scene, but with them knowing it's William Shatner 30 years on? like where they're just like, oh yeah, bang. It's Shatner now.
Or the Chris Pine version, and when Chris Pine.
The scene where, but when Chekhov collapses because he can't do it, and bearing in mind, Khan can only hear audio. He doesn't know what's going on. He can just hear phaser fire and screaming. So Chekhov collapses. We see, and again, you see it drip out of his ear, and the blood and everything, and Kirk vaporizes it. And Khan knows nothing until Kirk picks up the
communicator,
the iWatch of the 23rd century. Oh, sorry, the Samsung Galaxy.
I have to say I love this though.
Yeah,
like how annoyed Khan is, where he's like,
but it's the shock on his, but it's the shock on his face. But he doesn't want to give it away to his crew, so he's just like, Kirk, you're alive, my old friend. And he's like, yes, you bloodsucker.
Old.
I love
like
it.
I just love like they just try to out ham each other. That's what one of the things you love about it.
But like a poor marksman, you keep missing the mark.
In the same room.
Yeah. So, like a poor marksman, you keep missing the mark.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite line of the whole film.
Taunting
it's this idea of Kirk. There's never a moment of this film that it doesn't feel like Kirk doesn't have the upper hand against Khan. Like even when Khan is like winning, Kirk is literally like, I know exactly how to like put you in your place, and it just keeps winding Khan up more, which makes him make more mistakes. Which, you know,
how do you beat an egomaniac?
Yeah,
Pop their ego.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
But then that's exactly it.
But there's no way this guy should figure this shit out. Like, what's going on? And then, basically, I know more than you do.
He's meant to be a superior being. Like, he's meant to be a superior being with like a crazy sort of mind and whatnot. And yet, like, Kirk,
superior intellect
is just beating him all the time and outthinking him.
But superior intellect breeds superior ambition.
Mm-hmm.
And we do get possibly the most famous line in Star Trek history, where Khan is just like, I will leave you marooned on a dead world, buried alive. Khan!
He really had to play it up. And the whole time, like, he knew, Kirk always knew that he had an ace up his sleeve with the ship being able to be repaired quicker than they let on.
Yeah.
And Khan knew that Vulcans don't lie, so he thought, oh, for sure. He's told them exactly what's going to happen. So I've got this. They're screwed.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hours could seem like days if you play it by Savak, by the book. And I'm thinking, that's quite. How the hell did you not see through that, Khan? Like, how could you?
But this is it. I love it, though, that they thought this far ahead. Because basically, just for people who haven't seen it, what happens is they go, Kirk is on the planet in this cave, and then gets told that they can't beam him back or the team back because there's, engineering needs to be done on the Enterprise. And that's why Khan basically goes, oh, great, I've got you now. You're trapped in this cave. You'll be there forever, and I'll destroy the Enterprise and stuff like that, and no one will come and save you. And then obviously it turns out the Enterprise, it was all a ploy, and Kirk knew exactly that the Enterprise was going to be able to go and save him and stuff, and Spock plays along. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful bit of
Spock plays along because he goes, if we go by the book as like Lieutenant Savak, hours could seem like days. We will have auxiliary power in 2 days, warp speed in 6 days.
Yeah.
And that is, that's making Khan believe, that they are absolutely trapped and they've got nowhere to go. I love, though, the reveal of the Genesis cave, where
I was thinking about that because, like, he had, even still, if he was buried under there, they still got like fruit, vegetables, sunlight. We're good.
But again, it's we get this touching scene between Kirk and Carol where he's got this realization where he's just like, how do I feel? There's a man out there who I haven't seen in 15 years who wants to kill me, and you show me a son who would happily help him. How do I feel? I feel old, worn out. Yeah. And she's like
too little butter spread over too much bread.
Yes, the bounce has gone from his bungee. But let me show you something that will make you feel young, as if the world was new. And
get this finger bangs him.
I love her line. Can I cook or can I cook?
I love it.
Yeah, that's a great line.
It's a beautiful. Again, it's a mix of matte paintings with visual effects, and it is a stunning image that we see. That like the reveal of this is actually what Genesis can do, and this is potentially a blessing and a curse in the wrong hands. And then we do get the reveal, because Savaki's still not letting it go. And she's like, how did you beat the Kobayashi Maru? McCoy's just like, you are looking at the only Starfleet officer who ever beat the Kobayashi Maru. And she's like, how? And he's like, I altered the conditions of the program. And David, just being David, he's just like, he cheated.
Yeah,
he cheated. And I love the fact that David, his son, is pulling him up on the bullshit that he is spouting out.
And that's the thing. And it's like you were saying earlier, Joe, it's the fact of the whole arc of the film is Kirk coming to face to face with his, like, you know, the grave scenario. He's dug himself.
The consequences of his actions and death.
Yeah. And it's this idea of you can't avoid your responsibilities for that long. And it's the idea of these things from his past coming up to get him. The idea that he never actually dealt with the idea of the Kobayashi Maru and like cheated in order to get
believe in no one scenarios. So
and it's that thing. It's like if you have your life without hardship and you get to like your 20s or 30s and you've never had to want for anything, you are gonna really suffer when you have to actually make decisions for yourself. When
Bloody Gen Z.
have to go, yeah, that's it. And like, you know, it's the sort of thing. Like I nearly, you know, I was very lucky in my childhood, and I pretty much had a breakdown when I had to buy a house and stuff. And the amount of responsibility, going from dodging responsibility so much to going, wow, this is everything all at once.
I was the opposite. I had a house at 23. Because my parents had gotten ill. So I had the dumped responsibility super early.
The washing never ends.
And that means that, you know, you dealt with it then, or if you can deal with it in little bits throughout childhood and like your teen years and stuff, you will be better at it. Whereas if you avoid it, like we see with Kirk, and it all hits you at once, and you're just like, oh, I've never really properly dealt with grief or consequences or, you know,
losing.
Or losing. It's, you know, it's wonderful. Sorry, it went off on one.
And he manages not to have a breakdown. So.
Yeah. So the reveal is, you know, he's like, oh, I cheat. You know, I altered the conditions of the test and I got a commendation. And then he reveals, I don't believe in the no-rin scenario. Spock, it's been 2 hours. Are you ready? He's like, yep. Beams them all up. He explains to Savak, you know, this is what we do. You know, regulation if communications are being monitored by an enemy. Blah 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 blah.
It's so good that she's learning, though. Like, she's genuinely learning. You don't always do things by the book in the reality of things. It's like when you see people who sort of go, oh, we didn't learn that at university. And you're like, yeah, kind of ignore everything you learned at university.
Yeah,
like,
top tip, everyone.
Here, man.
If you are listening to this, anyone, and you are at university at the moment, forget everything when you leave university, because you will learn so much more outside of uni. I learned so much.
In a week in the job, you learn more than uni.
As Synoiz has just eloquently put there, I learned more at my time at the BBC and ITV and other film companies in the short time I was there than I did in 3 whole years at university, because it is real world learning. It is real world experience. You can be the most academic motherfucker in the world, but that real world experience is key. And this is what Savak is learning in this movie. And then we see Khan, where he's just like, I've got the Enterprise now. They go back to regular one and she's not there. And he's like, where is she? And then it's revealed when Kirk, Spock and Savak go to the bridge that they're on a parallel course. They are literally cat and mousing around the planet. And Spock's just like, they could still outrun us and outgun us. So we are just literally hiding all the way around. Mark agrees. No kidding. See?
But yeah, I really like what Alan Emma said in the chat, where Spock cashed the check that Kirk wrote. And it is very much that. Like, Spock is the one who suffers because of Kirk's hubris, effectively.
Yeah.
But it's that idea, like, but we have another amazing scene when Khan realizes that Kirk's fooled him again and he's actually on the ship and he's got away from it.
Yeah, there she is. There she is. And I love the fact that Kirk taunts him and he's just like, you know, Khan.
Superior intellect? I'd laugh at your superior intellect.
We played it your way. How about a rematch? Khan. are laughing at the superior intellect. And you just see the breaking of Khan's composure. It's like, full power, damn you! And just like goes full hog on the Reliant as they're heading towards the Mutara Nebula, knowing full well that as soon as they get lost, they won't be able to find each other.
They'll be on equal footing.
It's equal footing, but it's, again, I got serious balance of terror vibes from this scene as well, because it shows again that Kirk and Spock are master tacticians, because as Synoiz mentioned earlier on, when they are in the nebula and they're chasing each other, Khan is only using two-dimensional thinking. He is using nautical tactics. He is not using full three-dimensional tactics as you would in space.
He is playing 1999 Battleship, while everybody else here is playing Xbox the 950. You know what I mean?
Everyone else is playing 3D chess or whatever it is called.
But it's the fact that Kirk is just like, okay, let's drop the Z-axis 10,000 meters. So they drop so he can fly overhead, and then you just see them rise.
And they shoot him at the bottom.
But it's brilliant because before we see that, we see them just firing blindly at each other. And then Spock just goes, well, hang on, I'm having a look here, and he's just literally flying around in a circle. If we do that, we can literally just go and then just go right behind him and catch him with his pants down.
I genuinely didn't realize until this moment that Spock was being literal. I thought when he said he's thinking two-dimensionally and stuff, I thought he meant like as a metaphor of he's too straightforward and blinded, and you're just going, no, he literally is talking about dimensions, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's really
but again, it is another first for Star Trek, because obviously all the way up until that point, ships face each other, and we see loads of memes where they're just like, why do ships always face each other, and why are they not like that or like that,
upside down next to the other
and it's just like people are like, yeah, well they'll level to whatever, but this is just like, no,
space,
like
it's a whole different ballgame.
But Khan is
there's no up, there's no down. It's just
Khan doesn't think like that, because Khan is not a spatial navigator. He's just like
he's an Earth
left, right,
plane.
Up, down is not a thing. So
that 90s thinking, baby. Thank God for it.
So to drop,
you're superior to the 90s, but today
to drop on the Z-axis and then rise above them, it's way out there, and like. It's a brilliant maneuver because it catches them, and they just really fuck up the Reliant. And I loved, again, props to practical effects, the explosions on the ships and on the bridges and everything like that. Absolutely brilliant. To see a ship so unbelievably fucked up, and Khan just like pulling that massive girder with that glistening...
half burnt chest.
Half burnt.
Am I the only one who wasn't aroused by this? That's just a very strange flip.
I'm a proud metrosexual, and just pulling it, and then like his second in command, and he's just like, yours is the superior, and he's like, I shall avenge you. And
no, you won't.
If only I listened to your advice and not got you killed.
Oops, sorry about that, buddy.
But like the Enterprise goes, oh, we've got them now. That's it. We've got to, discuss terms of surrender. And Khan's just like, nah, mon ami, and just starts to.
They'll have the Genesis.
And just starts to activate the Genesis device.
Is anyone else really like? There was something weirdly satisfying about how convoluted starting the Genesis device was.
Up, down, left, right.
The Konami code.
It was one of these things where it's like you need the
Konami code.
The Konami code and the fucking.
Carol Marcus. I didn't know you were a fan of Castlevania. And
how much of it do you reckon was improvised? Like, or they wouldn't have said, "Oh, here's the," how like in Trek where they're just bapping away at their console and stuff, and none of the buttons mean anything. With this, do you think he improvised, or if there was this only turns to the right, this bit pushes in, or like?
I think they probably said turn it clockwise and then push the button and it'll go down. I want to know why Genesis never left the transporter room.
It didn't need to.
Yeah.
But
where are you going to store it,
though?
Isn't it a probe that's fired?
Wouldn't it have been better? I suppose the shields would have been down, but wouldn't it have been better for him to just transport it onto the Enterprise and then be like, right, I don't care if you can get away.
Not if it's completely screwed up. If the ship is destroyed.
Even if he could have done that, he obviously wouldn't have, because he
He doesn't know how it
isn't
works.
thinking rationally. He's
No, he's
not
not.
thinking of like, oh, he's so certain that they can't teleport from the planet, and his ass gets handed to him. He's so certain that they can't get more than impulse engines, and
and he spits his last breath at the.
At this point, he's crippled emotionally and mentally, and this is literally his last ditch attempt to gain vengeance on Kirk, because he knows, yes, his ship is crippled, but so is the Enterprise, and they cannot get away. So, the sheer power of the Genesis device will not only take Khan out himself, but will take Kirk out as well. And for him, that is an acceptable resolution to this whole situation. He has got nothing, literally nothing to lose. His crew is dead. He is the only survivor from the Botany Bay. His only last remaining goal.
He started off with 100.
Yeah,
and then he's got 0, and he's just like, you are a terrible leader.
But he's conservative. But the only last remaining, he's the Liz Truss of augments. The only
the problem with the Tories that they're not willing to fire anyone, despite that dickhead in Parliament.
Which one? But but his only solution is to, well, if I've got to die, I'm going to take you with me. And then we see that the Enterprise is crippled. They don't have warp speed. We know it's going to take 6 hours for warp speed. So Kirk's just anything we have got, just get us out of here. But it becomes more and more apparent that they are going to run out of time. They won't get enough distance. And Scotty's just like, the dilithium crystals are fused and stuff. And then Spock, being Spock, just quietly leaves the bridge and no one bats an eye. And I'm just like, why didn't anyone notice?
Like, wow, we got that bastard, huh, Spock?
Spock. It would have been better though if it was like sort of one of those weird like kids films or whatever where he's like Spock's literally like Home Alone or something. Spock's just literally put up like some pillows like shaped like him with like a cassette recorder being like, that is illogical every time.
Fascinating.
That is illogical. That is illogical. That is illogical. It's stuck.
It does the whole scene from Home Alone 2.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Spock. Yeah, it's completely changed.
That doesn't sound like Spock. But
when he gets
to be
down,
fair though, like that is one of the ones of going, how did nobody notice that he vanished?
Yeah.
To the point where I'm as frustrated by that as I am in.
But even
season 3, where you're like, how did no one notice them smuggling like a cloaking device onto the ship?
But even
by hand.
Even there's a point where Spock has already left and he's down in engineering, and they say, "Don't go in there. The radiation's too much."
I love this scene, by the way, where he
pinches him and then puts his hands on his face. Remember,
I'll get to that point. But Kirk or Sulu,
what does he make him remember though?
I'll get.
He put his
just nudes.
I'll get to that.
Just like, here's some mental images.
Spock cock. So
it just makes up being like,
Lee's 14-incher. But Kirk asks Sulu, he's like, distance 40,000 kilometers, time, and then he looks at David, and I'm like, you have literally turned to your son where Spock was, and you did not notice that Spock was there. Getting down to engineering, though. Now, this is considered part 1 of a 3-part trilogy of Star Trek films, as we know now. 2, 3, and 4 are like a complete trilogy of the Genesis.
And 6 was almost included in that. If,
yeah.
They could have got Kirsty back or Robin.
So, did you think at this point of filming that they knew there was going to be a sequel, or they just did it to elude a mystery anyway? Because to do the Katra on McCoy and just go, remember, who would know that? Who would know that? Yeah. But Spock's sacrifice, where he realigns something with the dilithium crystals and they warp out of there just as the Genesis device explodes. This scene, again, is another first for Star Trek, where it is an incredibly emotionally distraught scene where not only do we see a much loved star of the show and movies die, but we see Kirk actually face death and become broken by that experience. I mean, we'll get to the scene in a minute, but just the end bit where obviously Spock passes away and is slumped, and then we just see Kirk just slumped next to him, and the shock on his face that although he has won, he has also lost, and he is just broken by this whole situation. And the scene with Spock, though, what gets me is when Scotty grabs hold of Kirk and he's like, "Sir, he's dead already." And then you see,
because he can't go in there. He's dead already.
But you see, because Kirk
was probably terrible. You guys are English. How was that?
It's better than mine. It's better than I could.
Sir, he's dead already. Happy birthday to my sister, who's Scottish. Don't be offended.
Oh, what were you gonna say? And is dead. And I was like, what?
I was like, oh no.
That got dark.
Happy birthday, Jamie. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Jesus.
But fuck, what was I doing? Yeah, so that but when serious time now. But when, because Kirk shouts Spock, and obviously the intercom's not working, so he does it again. And what gets me is that Spock is near death. He has just sacrificed himself for the needs of the many, and he stands up, and he still wants to look his best for his captain. And I just thought, just that little gesture of just that is Spock. Is like, he has done all this, but he is still a Starfleet officer, and he will present himself to his CO and then ask how he rated. I never undertook the Kobayashi Maru. How would you rate my performance? And
which is the closest we get to a gag from Spock.
You
and
really
it's this wonderfully human thing he does in his final moments.
Yeah. And it's a whole beautiful way. It's just like, do not grieve, Captain. It is only logical. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Which again is a mantra that started with this movie and continued all the way up to present day Star Trek. And
it's the sort of thing. It's why I get shocked when people don't understand like things like in the Pale Moonlight in DS9 and stuff, where it's this idea of, they're like, oh, Cisco's a killer and stuff, and you're like, but the needs of the many outweigh the few.
Yeah.
It's like when Garrett puts it best of going, all it cost was
nothing.
One Romulan dickhead and one killer already. I ain't stopping anything in the universe.
Nothing in war is black and white. It is grey. It is muddy. Decisions have to be made, and this is again we went on about this during Star Trek Picard and everything like that with the whole Jamadah and the Dominion, and I referenced Cisco, and I also referenced Battlestar Galactica, where the best commanders and the best captains and admirals are the ones that make that decision. They are not black and white, they are not good or evil, they are in the middle. They have to make the good decisions and the questionable decisions for the needs of the many, for the greater good.
It's how, when in future, when we see the Kobayashi Maru, I still can't pronounce it no matter how many times I try.
Kobayashi Maru?
In future, Kobayashi?
It's a real ship, by the way.
That sounds like a fashion brand.
It is actually a real cargo vessel. I'm just going to say that.
But I mean, when we see it in TNG, where the solution is to kill Geordi, it's and Troy can't actually do it, and it's this idea of going, the correct decisions aren't always the easiest ones, and they're and there's a lot of situations that you can't get out of unscarred.
Everyone faces a Kobayashi Maru at one point in their life.
Oh yeah,
it is how you
deal in mine.
Yeah, it is how you deal with that situation that makes you who you are.
Yeah.
Unplanned tracks here.
Hi, Isaac. I will be seeing
you here as well.
I'll be seeing you tomorrow, and we've got Mag Eats, we've got Mark Still, we've got David Jones, we've got the lovely Kelly. Bless lovely Kelly. I do love Kelly. She's got an intro. Kelly. She's got an intro for me on Twitch, which is quite disturbing. But yeah,
interesting. And so hello y'all.
Hello to everyone in the chat. Yeah,
yes,
we do love each and every one of you. But when we do see Spock die, and again Kirk just lets out a no, and again it's that it's the feebleness of that no, because Kirk has never faced it. Kirk's never faced this at all, and he is now facing it. And then when we get to the funeral, where he's like, of all the souls I have met on my travels, his was the most human, and he is still trying to maintain that composure as a leader, as a captain. And this, for me, is possibly one of the most beautiful scenes in all of Star Trek, where Scotty is playing Amazing Grace on the bagpipes, and it's just overtaken by the orchestral number as the torpedoes fired out. And
however, really quick, I just want to point out, Spock would have actually taken that as an insult.
Wait, I kind of was going to make a joke about, like, because you're saying it's really touching, and I just like the idea that they're trying to have this funeral, and they're like, oh, fucking hell, Scotty's brought his bagpipes. Imagine you're just going to have an emotional moment, and he's just like, oh, I brought my pipe.
I've got you.
Would you want Harry Kim? Would you want Harry Kim and his clarinet? No. No one wants Kenny G, okay? So
it's the sort of thing, like, Spock would have just appreciated someone just, I don't know, like
freestyling on a Vulcan
banjo once an hour or something, you know. Mr. Hom with his little dinner gong.
Oh,
way, you know,
dong.
No, I think gratitude, fuckers.
I think he would have appreciated a harp, as we all remember in Way to Eden. He was playing the harp.
But yeah, but
I remember Way to Eden. Don't scar me.
That first guy.
At least I got a mug.
I think to be fair, they were like, "Oh, what would Spock like at his funeral?" And they're like, "Oh, we better let Scotty do his bloody, use his bloody bagpipes. He's lost his nephew. Go on then."
But
I like how. I wonder if Scotty was thinking, wait a minute, my nephew didn't get this kind of fanfare. What the hell? He was a better...
They just shot him out and on the torpedo tubes. They're like, oh, well.
Have you seen that? Leave it.
Wait a minute. If they would have put Scotty's nephew on the Genesis planet, would he have also come back to life?
Oh, he could have merged with Spock.
Or it could have been...
What would that be? That'd be Tuvix, but with Spock and...
An angry Scottish Falcon.
Spockfix.
Spockfix. Mark's just said, leave it to Michael to shit all over clarinet enthusiasts. Hell yeah.
Oh.
Hello.
I just love the idea that somewhere on the Genesis planet, there's literally just a rock formation. Like, what's the thing you have in America,
Mount
Joe?
Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore, but just with Khan's
we had the
old
really
man glamorous
Khan.
But that raises a very good question.
Yeah, we had a face in Massachusetts called the Old Man on the Rock. Yeah. And it literally, like, if you drove by it, it looked like this old man was looking at you and judging you. I see you driving poorly, you bastard. You know, like.
But again,
keep it under 60.
It raises another question, because not only was Spock's DNA integrated into the Genesis planet, so was Khan's.
Yeah. That's why the planet blew up in the sequel.
Spoiler alert.
He was like, "I'm gonna get you, Kirk."
But the end of the movie,
even more self-destructive.
But the end of the movie, we see the Enterprise is leaving the Genesis planet to pick up the survivors from the Reliant on SETI Alpha 5. This is SETI Alpha 5.
SETI Alpha 5.
But we see, I love this scene between David and Kirk in the quarters, where he's just like, I am proud, very proud to call you my son, and we just see Kirk doing that quintessential dad thing where he's just like, I am going to hug you now.
Very Alan Tudyk right there. Yeah.
And isn't David like, you will never see me again?
Yeah. That's right. I get killed in this movie.
Yeah,
spoilers.
It's like, it is literally the most bitch ass death in the entire world. It's almost as bad as fucking Hicks and Newt in the Alien
it's
series.
Savik's response where he just goes, sir, David is dead. And he just
that's
dude.
And he sits in the chair like defeated. Now, you know what always bugged me about that? Aren't Vulcans the strongest beings in the universe? Like, aren't they stronger than the Klingons as well? She should have just whipped everybody's ass.
I don't know. I think they're on equal footing in terms of strength.
I think Klingons have just like a whole bunch of bony shielding on their organs.
They have redundant organs and 2 penises, so they're anyone's game.
I don't think the Klingons are actually stronger than Vulcans, but they can take more damage. Because it's the idea of, obviously, you could stab a Klingon and they'd be like, haha, I've got 2 hearts.
Hang on. I'm gonna bring Warhammer into this. Synoiz, are you saying that they are the ultimate Warhammer character?
No. Right,
okay, moving on. To
be fair, it's
heresy.
It's a kind of weird one because there isn't really a Warhammer comparison. Because in Warhammer 40k, you have the Eldar or the Eldari, but they're not actually stronger. They're not really a good equivalent for the Vulcans because they are like that kind of race, where they're this superior overlooking thing, but they're not physically stronger. Yeah, I don't think there's a parallel.
She should have whooped out their asses. And
all that means though is just how much different Star Trek is to conventions. It's something that managed to dodge the Lord of the Rings thing, where everyone was like, "Oh, all of our races have to be like derivative of the Lord of the Rings and stuff." It's like, hang on, you got the ancient elder race, like the Vulcans, the wise ass people, but then you also made them like the physically toughest and the strongest, but also the most emotional. And you're like, and it's enough different to like Tolkien's elves to. Yeah, it's why Star Trek's so good. There aren't really equivalents to other things. Like Klingons aren't orcs, Andorians aren't.
Well, ask Gene Roddenberry, he'll tell you, that's why I ripped this shit off, baby.
The whole thing about enjoying Star Trek is not to watch interviews with Gene Roddenberry, I found. That's basically the way to
that one
stop
girl
enjoying stuff. Like, oh, God. Let's look into what Gene did during his life. Oh,
put that away, Gene.
The ending of this though, where Kirk, how do you feel? I feel young, and the closing monologue, narrated by Spock. I think
great.
It was a beautiful way to end a fantastic movie, and I urge everyone out there, even Synoiz, if you were going to watch The Wrath of Khan, watch the director's version.
Absolutely.
Because it just you get director's versions where they change it. This enhances it. This makes it infinitely better. Because you get those tiny little context clues all the way through. But I urge you to watch Space Seed first to get a well-rounded opinion of Khan, and then watch the director's cut of Wrath of Khan. Now, there is a question that we posted on the Nerdy Up North Twitter and Discord yesterday, and I'm going to put it to you. I'm going to put it to Joe first.
Oh, put it to Joe. Yes.
Put it to Joe.
Really quick. Alan had corrected me.
So,
Alan corrected me. He said that New Hampshire was the old man in the mountain. That's right where my aunt lives. So shame on me.
You guys said the other just has loads of English places, but with new in front of it.
Yes,
there's no look. No one looked at it and went, "This reminds me of Hampshire." They're like, "No, it's just a place. I'm just going to name it."
When the Puritans escaped England for persecution, they didn't have a lot of imagination. Like, we're free from England. What should we call this? New England.
You can name it anything you want. You have absolute freedom here. You can do anything you want. You can call it anything you want. I will call it New England, and we will keep the same religion we had as before.
What town should we call this? The same town in England, but it is in Kentucky. What do you mean? Middlesbrough, Kentucky, Stockton, California. And you're just like, why?
I like the idea of just being like, okay, what will you call this city? I came from York, New York.
New York.
Okay, well, what are you going to call the state then?
New York.
No, actually, hold on, guys. It was originally New Amsterdam. Sorry, you lose a point. But another fun.
I know nothing about America.
That's
okay. Find a Springfield.
I'm into the men's with it.
Find a Springfield. You'll hit about 30 in America.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. Yeah. There's a ton of them. There's one in here in New Jersey.
But there's
New York. The state really gives up on its names because once you get past like Poughkeepsie, it starts to become Mexico, New York, Cairo, New York, Egypt, New York. They did Germantown, New York. Really? They're like
Germantown. That's where they couldn't remember what the German town they were trying to copy the name of sounded like. So like it's
Hamburg.
You know, that German town. Oh,
New Munich. Nine. So the question was Khan's wrath justified when the Federation didn't check on the Botany Bay survivors? And I put that to you, Joe.
Was Khan justified when they didn't check? It's like, yeah, I always thought Khan's vengeance was very just. I just think he just went overboard. I totally believe that if something would have happened and I would have lost my loved one after I was promised to check in, maybe some rations, if things weren't going so swimmingly, because superior intellect means superior crops if the planet's conditions are just. But obviously, with the situation of the planet exploding and everything switching, and this is City Alpha 5, we obviously had a situation where we are not in a good way. And now my wife is dead. So the minute I get a chance to get off this planet, I am seeking revenge. But I wouldn't be so two-dimensional about it. I would definitely go, okay, wait, spaceships do what? Okay, let's get sure everything is. And I probably would have bounced once I had my revenge. All right, he's stuck in the cavern there. I'm heading on out.
Synoiz?
It's a difficult question because I'm pretty, yes. Like it's the fact of he's totally justified in his revenge because like the problem I see it as is Kirk makes a mistake in Space Seed by letting Khan go free. Like it's everything in this movie is a mistake that Khan made that comes back to bite him in the ass. He should have been put in jail or stopped or something because it would never have ended well. But by the same token, Khan should have risen above his like petty vengeance and won. Like he, literally he got the Genesis device, he got a ship, he had everything he needed. And yet instead he threw it all away for petty vengeance. So it's like, but his wrath is justified. Like it's, yeah.
So the other title is Justification of Khan.
Yeah. So in terms of the question, yes, but there's so much more discussion to be had about it.
Yeah. I agree with both of you gentlemen that Khan's wrath is justified because the Federation severely dropped a ball because you have got a planet of augments in a system. You know where they are. Not one person thought, should we maybe put a satellite in orbit? Should we maybe monitor this planet a little bit more closely? Because we have seen what happened in the eugenics wars and obviously the events of Star Trek Enterprise, maybe, and they dropped the ball massively. And again, it's Kirk reaping what he sowed. And it's the consequences of his actions 15 years ago that are coming back to bite him in the arse, which is, again, very unique for Star Trek, because in most Star Trek, even up to present day, you just see them encounter a civilization, encounter a planet, something happens, and their resolution is they leave and they go, oh, we'll do these changes, you just have to deal with that now, bye. And with the Wrath of Khan, it's like, no, you made this decision 15 years ago. You did not bother to check on us. You were so lazy in your monitoring that you didn't even know that a planet in your territory exploded. You essentially left us to die.
So here's another question.
Yeah.
You have to think about it as the Federation is aware that a whole planet of augments exists.
Yeah.
So if you do think about it, and we have regular normie, like red shirts, so to speak, pop in on a planet, the minute they land on the planet, the spaceship, get them, and they're going to get toast. And Wrath of Khan would have probably happened maybe 10 years earlier.
I think maybe observing them, not actually landing on the planet, like knowing that, do not make contact, but monitor the situation.
I actually think it's probably the fact of they didn't want to own up to it. I think that it was probably a case where they actually deliberately just wanted to brush it under the rug and be like, oh, fuck, we've kept this guy alive, so let's just forget about him and just pretend it never happened. It's like like America and the Taliban, where they sort of helped set it up and whatnot, and then sort of changed all these people's lives and stuff, and then just went, okay, now that's not our responsibility anymore, let's leave that. And then the next time they come back, it's like, oh, you now have a lot of people wanting revenge and a lot of people with a lot of bad sentiment kind of thing there. It's the idea of looking at your past mistakes and stuff, or the consequences of your actions and dealing with it, rather than just being like, oh, well, we don't need that anymore, let's just ignore that and move on. And so I kind of think that maybe the Federation kind of like just, was aware of it, but went, oh, well, don't need to check up on them because it'll get awkward, if, he wants anything or if he wants to come back or anything. And we have to, have that line of communication. And I think that's it. And it's very much, the film is about Kirk learning the consequences of his actions.
Having to face the no-win scenario.
Yeah.
He ever faced.
Yeah.
Like going, hey, I made a mistake not bringing Khan in for trial, or not, because I don't know, I don't know how I feel about whether they should have actually killed Khan or something, because it's not a very Federation thing to do, but you're like, he is a serious wild card. Like, there is no way, if they hadn't have dropped him on a planet, if they'd actually given him a ship, there's no way that I think Khan wouldn't have become like a crazy space pirate and tried to take over the galaxy.
Yeah.
And
I think he would have become a Terran ruler.
Yeah. It becomes the idea of so the fact is that he wants revenge because he wasn't allowed to become a dictator again. And it's a bit like going,
you ruined my dictatorship.
So I've done good, but I've also done bad, and that's the whole the unwinnable scenario. It's the fact of like, if you don't be the bad guy and kill Khan after the events of Space Seed, then you have to deal with the consequences. And the consequences are we lose lots of, we lose a whole science station, and we lose Spock, and we lose like Scotty's nephew.
Yeah.
But no one cares about a bunch of kids. Like just watch,
kids.
Just watch like what is it? The second Star Wars film. Take that, younglings.
Master Skywalker, what are we going to do? Hold on, I'm
sorry, you're too English to live in this film, I'm afraid.
Have you ever seen Salami? So on Twitter, with a whopping 71.4% of the vote, yes, Khan's wrath was justified when the Federation didn't check on the Botany-based survivors. Synoiz, what is it on the old Discordy-waddy?
It doesn't tell me the percentages, so I don't know what. So, like, just everyone talk amongst yourselves. What would be 7 out of 8?
Less than 7 of 9.
50. What is it? 51
was only 8
to 48. Whatever. 51 to 48.
Wow, that's close.
So it's there's 7 votes for yes and only 1 vote for no. Let's check whether it's fucking Nerdbot.
Oh, I had that wrong.
It is fucking Nerdbot. Okay, everyone unanimously.
Wow.
Everyone on Discord voted for yes.
Yeah. There it is.
But it's this thing. It's the idea of going, like, he is totally justified in his actions and his wrath and wanting revenge and stuff. But they could have avoided it. Like, it's the idea of going, Yeah, should have been dealt with better in Space Seed.
Guys, we absolutely, as all hardcore Trekkies, we recommend The Wrath of Khan. I think it's a great entry point for most people into Star Trek. If you want to get into Star Trek and like you look at the original series and go, I don't know, I recommend The Wrath of Khan. You can completely bypass the motion picture. Like Synoiz says, this was sort of the retconned original movie for a lot of people.
Just skip motion picture. I'm still angry about it. I'm still angry about the
fact you guys aren't mad about the space probe Voyager being behind all that stuff?
No, it's like
Voyager.
The benefit,
not a good movie, and it spoils it that we've had to talk all these good Trek movies we had to talk about. I'm annoyed that I had to hate something that was Trek because I love Trek.
The benefit of the motion picture is we get the greatest starship ever designed. We get the refitted Enterprise. It is perfect in every single way, and we get at least 3 hours of shit porn all the way through it. And I am happy about that. It was a mediocre, rejected script pushed onto the big screen in '79 to compete with Star Wars. Everyone knows that. It got the crew back together, and without that, we wouldn't have had The Wrath of Khan. But
we got bell bottoms.
Hell yeah, we got bell bottoms. And I personally watch Space Seed, watch the director's cut of Wrath of Khan. Would you both agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
And you still have to see the director's cut.
So I still haven't seen it. I'm gonna if I have time, I'll try watching it. Well, if I can find it. Knowing this, it's probably on Paramount Plus, but you have to pay extra or something. I'll be like, oh.
No.
See you later, Mark. Thanks
See you later, Mark. As Mark leaves, we are getting an incoming transmission.
Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah,
what?
Sorry, no, do this.
Okay.
Incoming transmission.
Oh, sweet Lord. It's back.
It's a double wheel.
I am mentally scarred by this goddamn wheel for what it delivered to me last week.
Wheels are deadly.
Wheels are deadly. Yes.
Or agonists. Yeah, it's wheel of agony overlord.
Science Officer Synoiz, what were you going to say?
No, I'll say it after this bit.
Oh, Jesus. Right. For those new to Trekking Up North, this is the double wheel of episodes. And what we do every week, unless it's a movie week, we spin the double wheel of episodes, which has every...
Sub Rosa or Code of Honor.
Shut your pretty mouth. Every week we spin the double wheel, and whatever it lands on, we must review it the week after. The last time we spun this, I wanted to take a phaser to my brain. Because we landed on Sub Rosa Candle Slag. Dinner like a candle. It was an experience, and I maintain that the only positives was the sets were nice. Oh no!
Yes,
it's Beverly Snatch. It's Beverly Snatch, everybody.
Oh, I've still actually got all of it. It's
Dr.
like
Snatch.
I haven't actually tidied up my room.
Have you not tidied up? Oh my god! I can't even change the filters on my lights. I'm too far away.
That's how busy my week has been. I haven't even tidied up this area at all. It's still got everything here.
But these are the rules that we stick to with the double wheel. We spin the wheel. When it lands, we all yell at the top of our lungs, double! And whatever it lands on, we must review next week. I will start this week with Joe. Joe, what do you hope to see in next week's episode of Trekking Up North?
Now, this is absolutely at random. There's even good ones in here, too, right?
Oh, yeah. Everything is in there.
The only thing is there.
Episodes.
Discovery isn't in there.
Oh, that's a shame.
The movies aren't in there. And we've taken the original series out for the time being because we had far too many original series. Because obviously, Isaac from Unplanned Trek, Unplanned?
Unplanned.
It's like yogurt.
Yeah, it's not bland. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Where's my grandma's diary? Quiet, Isaac.
But it's so basically we were like, hey, we've taken it out simply because we had far too many episodes, and even though it is totally
it's hard
random,
to watch some of them.
We'd say it's totally and utterly random. The only time we've ever fixed it is when we did the joke. The joke where it literally only moved between Sub Rosa and Code of Honor.
Yeah, thank you for giving me that mini heart attack. Yeah,
but then because I don't know if you saw that, Joe, but I fixed it so it landed. So it basically looked like it was only choosing between Code of Honor and Sub Rosa.
Yeah, no, we did the same thing because it was for us. It was Code of Honor. We were trying to avoid it forever because in the agony booth we go back and we purposely watch the harder to watch ones. And it got to the point where every time we removed an episode, we'd put back Code of Honor. So it was purposely, but it lasted so long that when I had to run the wheel, when Chase had to go for an event, it was about like 90 episodes Code of Honor, and I forgot to remove one of the old episodes, and it literally landed on another episode that we still haven't seen. So for whatever reason, the odds were forever in our favor. But for you guys, I haven't watched Code of Honor, and I really hope it's not Code of Honor because that episode is so hard to watch.
To be fair, I for so long of not wanting Sub Rosa, and then when we eventually got it, I was like, that was quite fun talking about that.
We still got
when it appeared, I was just. You can see like how much I laugh about it because I'm like, oh god, I've been asking for this for so long, and now it's finally happened. I'm like, oh god.
Much like Kirk, you reaped what you sowed.
We still haven't hit Sub Rosa. It's on the list now. That
you will.
Genesis is an awful one. So a bad episode. I'm hoping for you guys, Genesis, because I'd like to see what you guys have to say about that one. That's the one where everybody got reverted into like space babies or whatever, like primal versions of themselves.
That's TNG, isn't it?
Yeah, TNG.
Yeah.
And then good episodes, maybe. Well, I think the first half of when Data and Lore take over the Borg.
Oh, we've done that one.
We've done that one already.
We did the two-parter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Synoiz, what are you hoping for? And if you say Code of Honor, I will Come to your house
I
and
don't
slap
want
you.
to. I don't want to. The last time I was like, oh, Code of Honor, and then we got no. I was like, oh, Code of Honor or Sub Rosa, and then we got Sub Rosa. I kind of like what Christopher's saying in the chat of Sub Rosa again.
No.
And the
Oh,
hilarious
no.
thing is, it could happen.
No.
Because I didn't take it out of the
No.
actual thing.
No.
So there is, while it is tiny, there is a chance of getting an episode that we've already got again.
No.
Because we moved it to a different server.
No.
But,
or maybe it could be.
You know me. I want any DS9. I'll be happy with any DS9. I think the
Or
chat's
unless
right.
it's Move Along Home, you're not going to want to watch that.
I know. I'd be fine with that. Okay,
I'd be fine with that.
See,
we
this is the problem,
just
like-
rewatched Storyteller, and let me tell you, I couldn't watch that one again.
Storyteller. Which is Storyteller
That's
again?
DS9 season 1, episode 14, where Brian goes, "The Doe Rock comes, and the village is strong." You know,
it's terrible, but at least it
Yes.
kind of starts the Bashir O'Brien relationship.
yes.
That is the only good thing to come out of that episode. But
Yeah.
that means you have to watch it because you're like, how do they suddenly become friends? And you're like, because they were in a shit episode together.
I'm reading the chat. Jake wants Measure of a Man.
That's a great one.
Good
That's a great episode.
So many people like Sub Rosa again.
Nerdy Up North, Paul wants anything from, and I severely hope that this is dyslexia, Voyager.
No,
I like V'ger.
Voyager.
No, not V'ger. We're not watching that shit again.
Isaac wants Year of Hell. That's a good episode.
That's a great
two-parter. Yeah, it's a
episode.
good
And Red's
two-parter.
in it from, or the bad guy from RoboCop.
Kurtwood Smith, yeah. Maybe an Enterprise underwear one. So all of them.
Oh yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Animated series.
Oh, you got TAS in here now. Good.
We don't, but let's pretend.
Oh, okay. We have
I don't.
the Magics of Mangus 2 on our wheel. We
I
have
probably need to put
a wheel of
animated series in. That's a good one. To be fair, after what we'll do is after we've had a couple more episodes of like Voyager and DS9, I'll put original series back in and I'll put the animated series in.
Yeah.
They deserve to be in there, I think.
Are we ready to spin this wheel of anxiety which you have given me?
Oh no, copyright. That's mine.
Wheel of anxiety.
Okay.
It's Wheel of Agony.
Now remember, everyone, when it lands, we all have to yell Dabo. So are we ready, gentlemen?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Oh my god. I hate this so much.
The Scorpion was
Double! Deep Space Nine Covenant!
Oh, that was a fun one.
Oh, is this the Taraknor one where Golda Cat's got a cult? Is this Nerdy Up North DS9?
Just
Son of a
Paul
bitch,
with
it is. It literally is. Oh,
This is pretty late on, but still fantastic.
Yeah.
This is a fantastically dark episode. Season 7, Episode 9, Covenant. Kira is abducted by a cult that worships the Par race and is led to their master, Goldukat.
Is this the one where he opens the box and he's like, everybody's using it as a meme currently on Twitter?
I don't
think it's that one. No,
it is the one where it's like there's a baby that's blatantly half Cardassian.
Yeah. And he's just like, no, it's divine. It's
a blessing.
It's a blessing that the Par race made him Cardassian. Definitely not me dicking your wife. It's
Isaac, you think Chrysalis is hard to watch? I love Chrysalis. Chrysalis is fantastic with Laws. J.G. Hertzler not playing a Klingon? That was amazing.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
When we land that on ours, we're going to make sure to pull you up, Isaac.
I can't believe we've got Covenant. I only saw this the other week as well.
Oh, wow.
This is a truly brilliant episode because we get Golda Cat finally on Trekking Up North. We get a Golda Cat episode.
Well, arguably one of the best villains.
We get a Golda Cat and a Kira episode.
Yes.
And it's the fact of we haven't been able to talk about Kira that much because we've only had like 2 episodes of DS9 ever. And obviously
the last one she was just one sentence,
Yeah, she just appears to get a check, basically.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm still getting paid. Bye.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm really excited. For
That
this
is
one,
that is
a yawn.
Wow. That is next week's episode of Trekking Up North, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 9, Covenant. It is available in the UK on Netflix and Paramount Plus. So
you guys have it on Netflix?
Oh, yeah. we absolutely do, because Paramount are a train wreck. So we have it on Netflix as well. So I urge everybody, because again, it's DS9 and it's a Golda Cat episode. You get to truly appreciate Mark Alimo as one of possibly the greatest villains in Star Trek history.
Yeah,
absolutely. Him and General Chang.
General Chang.
So good.
Cry havoc!
Answer the question now. It's like, damn, I don't even speak Klingon. Like, come on.
So that is next week's episode. I do have a bit of wonderful news, though, in relation to Nerdy Up North that I would like to let everybody know.
Again.
We're
never going to hear the end of this.
Shut your pretty face.
I love the idea of what an amazing achievement it is, and I'm just like, yeah, well, whatever. Yeah.
The Nerdy Up North community, as of 6:30 in the UK, achieved 10,000 members in the Facebook community, and just over.
And I'm 3 of them.
And 29,000 members of the page, which is terrifyingly insane. And if it could translate into YouTube subscribers, that would help us a lot. But it's a huge achievement.
It's genuinely shocking, and I don't think, like, Paul's celebrating, and Paul's like, what a great achievement, but like, Paul doesn't seem to have factored in how much Kool-Aid and how many pairs of sneakers that's going to be when the mothership finally takes off, you know?
Well, there's a comment from Christopher saying that Paul has agreed to cosplay as Sailor Moon at 10K. So is that true? Are we going to get Sailor Moon Paul? I'll pay real money for that.
Well, it's not YouTube, because when we hit 10,000 on YouTube, he has to dress as Lionel from the Thundercats.
Oh, wow.
That was a thing. I remember that.
That's the thing. So Sailor Moon.
I can't wait for these things. If you need something, I'll send that.
He needs to
get Lionel.
Synoiz will borrow you the wig, but you need to get your own dress. Wow, Joe, what is happening on Captain's Quadrant in the next
Captain's
week?
Quadrant is going through such a transition, and we are grateful for it. We are about to hit 1,000 subscribers over on our channel. We are switched to all Star Trek. I am the co-host of Captain's Quadrant, and also playing video games now because I got a free copy of Star Trek Prodigy.
Hey.
So I'm playing that every Friday night. Yeah, I've been doing that for a little bit. But we are excited. We will be hosting a panel at Trek Long Island this June. We are going to bring our co-hosts all together in one space in one time somehow, which is going to be quite amazing. Our amazing host, Jason Roy Gaston, is coming from Texas, and our amazing producer, who does all the wonderful colors and panels and things that go bump in the night, he is coming all the way from Australia, and we're all getting together for the first time ever at Trek Long Island. That is going to be exciting. And I am interviewing Tarziel, Melanie Smith, next April. That's from Deep Space Nine, Sacrifice of Angels, season 6. Over again in Long Island, thanks to Trek Long Island. I'll be interviewing her after watching Sacrifice of Angels in person, and she'll be talking about her new book. So that is going to be exciting. So a lot of exciting things happening in the Captain's Quadrant. We have some special guests coming on, and we just had author Corinne Norden, who joined us last night for an amazing rewatch of Discovery, Such Sweet Sorrow, which is arguably the best current Trek Discovery for sure episode, but current Trek episode. So it's a lot of fun. So be sure to join us. And I thank you, Goodwill, as a friend and as a buddy, to just kind of hang out and explore Trek together and see certain ways and things that we couldn't believe or see ourselves. And I am looking forward to possibly chilling with you in the future. And of course, Synoiz, it's always good to honk with you here and scream about City Alpha 5.
Could you say it one more time? I love it.
That's the City Alpha 5!
that might be my new favorite thing, just how well you can do it.
Yeah, I've seen this movie probably as many times as you've been alive. So
we need to like meme it and just have like Khan in random places or whatever.
I was thinking, I have a soundboard, and like I was gonna, like I have the sounds of decloaking ships, but I was thinking about having Khan screaming City Alpha 5 or something like that, but I never got around to it. It's
You
laziness
could
on my part.
you could just do sketches, couldn't you? Like, pull up with a drive-through. This is SETI Alpha 5. Sir, it's a Wendy's. And it's just...
I like the idea that it's like, the mailman comes round and he's just like, hi, I've got a parcel for SETI Alpha 6. This is SETI Alpha 5!
Yes.
You can follow the Captain's Quadrant in the link in the description below. I have got a busy weekend coming up. I am with Isaac and Andy and Mark at Unplanned Trek, or someone called it Unbland Trek earlier on.
Unbland, the yogurt version. Greek yogurt.
The fromage frais of podcasts. We are live. I think we're live tomorrow. We are continuing the 50 Shades of Trek series that they are doing, and we will be watching live the TNG episode Devil's Due.
Ooh.
And trying to make it raunchy as anything. So that is over on the Unplanned Trek YouTube channel. Again, links in the description below. Everyone else that we love and that we are friends with, we have got all the descriptions below. We've got the Shuttlepod Show, we've got Trek Culture, we've got Sci-Fi Queens, we've got Clone Star Podcast, we've got Mike Overton, we've got GL Sawyer, we've got the Velvet Snatch, we've got the Goyle Podcast, we've got Twitch. We have got the lovely 200.36 foot tall Viking god and musician who made the Trekking Up North intro, Adam Astridge. Daddy!
He's really that tall?
Hey, I could climb him like a tree.
I was on my knees at the time. Amazing.
Yeah. Synoiz, you are also doing the Snatch Talk again.
I am doing Snatch Talk. If you don't know what Snatch Talk is, basically there's a very famous, like it is now in its 16th year, drag competition in Newcastle called Drag Idol, and I do the backstage correspondence for it. So I basically do the companion show where I basically summarize what happened every week of the competition, who went through, like what happened in their performances, as well as exclusive interviews with contestants and whatnot. And it just started up Sunday just gone, and it's running for the next 5 weeks. And it is a lot of work for me to put episodes together. So if you can, it would be wonderful if you subscribe to my YouTube channel of The Velvet Snatch and watch some Snatch Talk to see if you like this competition. Because it's bizarre, like, even though it feels like a small-time thing in Newcastle, we have so many people outside of it around the world interested in this drag competition in Newcastle. Like, we had it where, like, loads of winners, when I was at DragCon in January, we have loads of like international queens who have been on like Drag Race like España or have been on the American version of Drag Race, and they're like, oh yeah, I watch that on YouTube every year. And it's like, what, this random competition from like sort of Newcastle
for you.
But, yeah, and it's really fun. So it's a lot of work. So basically, like, this is why I have to kind of say, hey, I'm not gonna be like guesting on anything. I'm like, Trekking Up North is the only thing I'm doing aside from this for the next 5 weeks.
And you're going to be in drag while you're doing this, right?
Yeah. So
so your makeup is on point. I just want to say.
Thank you. No, I'm in drag on the Sunday night, because obviously you have to be on camera interviewing people and stuff. And then I get into drag on Tuesday when I need to film the studio bits where it's me talking to the camera. So it's
amazing.
It's a lot of work, but yeah. Also, before we finish, just while I've got the mic, I want everyone still watching, everyone in the chat, because this is the last time we're going to get to do it. I want you all to just yell Khan in your house, okay? On the count of 3, I want you to be... Oh, hold on. What we'll do is on the count of 3, and then you say the line, Joe, okay? Yeah. You say the line, and then everyone watching at home, I don't care if your kids are sleeping, I don't care if your dog's on your lap, I want you to be like, okay, cool. Right, okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Khan!
There we go. I've got out my system.
There you go. Do you have any more drink left, Goodwill?
Nope.
Nope. So I guess that's officially end. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to be a guest on the Strange New Pod and their Days of Disco series too.
Oh, very good. I
did
see that.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Everybody
in the chat is conning right now.
Con! This Sunday,
thanks to noise. Ben's crying now.
This Sunday on the main Nerdy Up North podcast, we are talking about the BBC's modern version of Sherlock. with BBC.
Is that the one with Christopher Benedictch?
Bendy Bus Cabbage Patch.
Yeah, it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
So we are. So we are reviewing that with the BBC radio star Emma Millen, who is a friend of the Nerdy Up North team.
Amazing.
So we will be doing that on Sunday. I will be back on Tuesday twitching. What I will be doing, will it be me? Will it be one of my many cousins? You will have to wait and see, because I would like to keep you all on your toes. In the future, the one more thing before we close up, the Shuttlepod live show in Los Angeles, California, April 12th to the 14th, in aid of many, many charities, Hollywood Food Coalition and PanCan. We will be having a lovely live show with special guests, quizzes, and obviously a lot of drink. I will be there. I will be doing an episode of Trekking Up North from Los Angeles. So how the hell I'm going to get this microphone and a laptop through customs, it's going to be up my bum. So other than that,
do you want to borrow my
lapels? I might have to. Other than that, myself, the lovely Joe Dove, and Science Officer Synoiz will all be at STLV.
Synoiz is going to be there too.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
My first venture to the colonies.
Nice. Welcome to New England and New York and
I love how everyone is just like, it's not called New Las Vegas, and I'm just like, we don't have hold on, the one place that they named originally, you know?
There was a New Vegas, but we don't know.
But it's really funny though that everyone's like, okay, so your first impression of America is going to be Las Vegas. That is the worst. Representation.
I always say to people, if you can handle Las Vegas, you can handle any place in America.
True.
Exactly.
It's also the hottest place in America, so that's a good start.
You will be the most cooked goose at the Star Trek convention. You are going to be
the most
delicious.
Moist snatch in all of Las Vegas.
No, it's too dry. Nothing will ever get moist.
Oh, you're going to get a dry snatch. Sandy snatch.
Sandy snatch. There it is. Yeah.
Shall we wrap it up, gentlemen?
Yeah, there we go. Well.
Oh, my days. Right. Everybody, thank you so much for joining in the chat tonight. It really does mean the world to us. Thank you for everyone who is watching this back on the record. What do you think of the Wrath of Khan? Leave a comment below. Did you like Wrath of Khan? Did you hate Wrath of Khan? I want to know. Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, and all of our social media ventures that are right down there, and all of our friends of Trekking Up North. Until next week, my lovelies, take care of yourselves and each other, live long and prosper, and as always, Miles,
Miles?
come!